Check, 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 check.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Check, 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 check. Hello, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenido.
Richmond Raiders, Alabama Hammers, Richmond Coliseum, April 12, 2014.
Fútbol americano desde el Coliseum de Richmond. Second audio option provided by...
Good evening. Welcome to this special presentation of Richmond Raiders Indoor Football. Tonight we have a rematch of last year's Professional Indoor Football League championship game between the Raiders and the Alabama Hammers. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Heroes Academy, MWV, McDonald's, Bon Secours, Richmond International Airport, T. Miller's, Gemworth, and Richmond Tax Solutions. A pleasant good evening to you. I'm Tim Hurley, joined tonight by John Emmett. And John, at long last, it is the 2014 home opener for the defending conference champion Richmond Raiders. It's been a tough start for them on the road for the first couple of games, but hopefully the home cooking of the friendly confines of the Richmond Coliseum will be good to the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, it couldn't come at a better time. This is a team that's really struggling. They've had a particularly difficult time on the offensive side of the football. 38 points in 2 weeks. In indoor football, 38 points and a half is getting it done. 38 points in 2 weeks. usually equals where they are right now, which is 0-2, and that leads us to a quarterback change and maybe some new wrinkles offensively.
As you mentioned, the offense that has not been getting it done and being very inconsistent from game to game the first 2 weeks of this 2014 regular season. Malik White was the starter after backing up Warren Smith all last season. White took his first live snaps in the opening day game in Trenton a couple weeks ago. Struggled in that game, struggled last week in the first half in Columbus, Georgia against the Columbus Lions, and was pulled early in the second half after taking a safety on the Raiders' first possession of half number 2. In came Stephen Colon, an indoor football rookie, but he showed some flashes, led the Raiders to touchdowns on his first 2 possessions under center. Was a little bit rough later on, threw a couple of interceptions late in the game, rallied for a late touchdown as well, but the bottom line is the quarterbacks and the offense in general were not getting it done. So this week in comes Phil Konopka, another indoor rookie, but was in camp with the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks, acquired by the Raiders this week, and was showing some positive signs in practice, impressing the coach, impressing the offense. And we'll see how he and Cologne battle it out for tonight's starting role and for the rest of the season.
Well, he comes out of a good program, Endicott Division III program in the Northeast, and they've been very productive over the past few years, so his resume looks good. And he has targets. He has legitimate wide receiver targets. Hakeem Moore, Herb Jones, Antoine Williams, who's an old hand at the indoor game. They just need somebody to get him the rock and maybe an offensive line to give the quarterback time to get him the rock.
It's an offensive line that has some pieces missing from last year. Kenneth Moses is a 2-time All-PIFL first-team offensive lineman. He's the anchor of the big guys up front. Roman Pritt does have indoor experience, the last couple of years playing for the Louisiana Swashbucklers in this league. Came to the Raiders this offseason and is anchoring the line at center. And indoor rookie Jeff Carucio is back after missing last week's game to fill out the offensive line for the Raiders.
Meanwhile, the Alabama Hammers, a bunch of their difficulties have kind of been on the other side of the ball. They put up 65 last week. That's usually enough, but it wasn't. They lost 67-65 to the Georgia Fire. So both teams, the Raiders and the Hammers, teams that played for the championship last year, they already have losses to expansion teams in the first 2 weeks. Frustrating loss last week for the Hammers. They were also beaten in week 1 and gave up 57 there. So it's kind of the movable force against the resistible object here tonight.
And we'll see who gets moved and who gets resisted tonight as both teams come into tonight's action at 0-2, looking for their first wins of the season after squaring off at the end of last year for all the marbles in the PIFL championship game. We'll take a break and come back after this to continue our pregame coverage from the Richmond Coliseum, so stay tuned to Richmond Raiders football.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
It's so shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Did you take your medicine? Oh gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse,
You need a claim number?
her personal assistant,
Let me just grab a...
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum as the Raiders are being introduced for the first time at home in 2014. We mentioned a moment ago that it's been a rough start for both of these teams, the Raiders and the Alabama Hammers, to this 2014 campaign. The Hammers were the class of the league last year, going 10-2 in the regular season, coasting through the playoffs, including a 70-44 win over the Raiders in the PIFL championship game down in Huntsville. But it's been, as you mentioned, John, a rough start for them to this season after losing a few important cogs in their wheels, including their starting quarterback, Russell Hill. They came out of the gate with a loss to the expansion Nashville Venom, 57-40 at home. And last week went to Rome, Georgia to play the expansion Georgia Fire. Lost by 2, 67-65 in a game where the Hammers had a chance at the very end of the game after scoring a late touchdown to go for 2 and tie to force overtime, missed the 2-point conversion, and went to 0-2 on the season.
They do have offensive firepower. Kevin Huff, out of a very good Division II program at Tuskegee, has taken over at quarterback, and he's been productive. Last week, no complaints, 311 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. He hasn't turned the ball over with an interception in the first 2 weeks, and his targets are just flat out serious. Charles McClain out of North Alabama set a PIFL record last week, 17 grabs, and that's playing alongside the guy who was the MVP of this thing last year, Miko McSwain. So the Raiders, who did do some pretty good things defensively last week, will be tested.
Last week it was a better showing for the Raiders than in week 1. They stumbled out of the gates, lost 52-17 in week 1 against the Trenton Freedom. Last week I mentioned in Columbus had a better showing but still lost that game 42-21. But defensively you can't ask for much more than a 42-point showing, only 35 of which came against the defense. There was a pick 6 in that game. But you hold the other team to 42 points and you got to win those games. We'll come back to talk more about the Raiders' offense and the weapons they'll be putting out there tonight against the Alabama Hammers when we return here to the Richmond Coliseum. Back for more after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am.
Give it to him hard!
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
To ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
getting things started right here at the Richmond Coliseum, and the Lady Raiders not only lovely and talented, but multi-talented. That was veteran Lady Raider Leah with our national anthem this evening.
One of the things you learned about the indoor game is you got to be able to play more than one position.
Some of the players play both ways, and you can see the Lady Raiders fill in when needed as well. Started to talk about the Raiders' rough start to this season after finishing second in the league's regular season standings last year and qualifying for the playoffs, getting back to the championship game for the second straight year. It's been an 0-2 start for the Raiders with both games coming on the road. But last week we were talking about the defense, which only gave up 35 points on their side of the ball in a 42-21 loss. They were getting after the former Raider quarterback, former league MVP Antoine Young, 5 sacks, numerous additional quarterback hurries, knockdowns, making him uncomfortable back there. If the defense can keep playing like that the rest of the season, then they'll be doing their part to help this team.
Yeah, they really got it done. I mean, they were 9 out of 12 against third down conversions. They put points on the board. You can't ask a whole lot more in the indoor game than what the Raiders got done defensively last week. You just have to be able to produce more points.
Hopefully it won't take the Richmond Sheriff's Office putting the Alabama defense behind bars for the Raiders to do just that. But I think Sheriff Woody's going to pop out with the game ball presentation to continue the festivities here on opening night for the home portion of the 2014 schedule.
Well, the officials, Raiders won the toss. They've deferred, which is all the rage in the outdoor game anymore. But in the indoor game, when number of possessions is so critical, it's a little surprising. Obviously, a little strategy there. Herb Jones, Gus Tyson, Roman Pritt, the captains out there for the Raiders, and then Miko McSwain, Vince Hill, and Darian Barnes.
And the indoor game, Raiders head coach James Fuller likes to get that first possession of the second half so he can try to play ball control offense in the final minute of the first half, get a score, come out in the second half, get a score, and no matter what the situation is, you're getting back-to-back touchdowns in an ideal situation, and that, of course, puts you in a better position to close out the game. A couple of representatives from Gemworth are joining the referees at midfield because Gemworth is one of the presenting sponsors of this evening's game, along with Fox Richmond. The Raiders thank all of their great 2014 sponsors, including Gemworth and Fox Richmond, for their presentation of this evening's contest.
Well, Raiders will get the first defensive test. Kevin Huff was sizzling last week. He was okay in week 1. Actually left that game for a stretch. But week 2, 28 of 45 for 311 and 4 scores. Didn't turn the ball over. So the Raiders will find themselves with an early challenge. Hammers come at you. They've got some big receivers. McSwain, 6'3", 215. Jeremy Greer, 6'2", 210. But then you've got Charles McLean, who kind of runs around in the middle of them at 5'8", 180. And he had a big night last week, 17 grabs, 3 of those for touchdowns.
As you mentioned earlier, John, a record-tying 17 receptions for a single-game mark in the PIFL. Now, when you've got McLean and McSwain out there on the same field, along with Maurice Dupree, who for the past couple of seasons played in Columbus and put up some big numbers there, joining them, they've got as formidable a receiving trio as you'll find in the PIFL. But the Raiders can go toe-to-toe with them with 2 guys in Herb Jones and Hakeem Moore, who were in the top 3 in receptions and yardage in the league last year. We're set to go. The Hammers will kick it off, and Armando Cuco has it teed up. Kickoffs from the goal line in indoor football. Receiving specialist Jaron Scooby Bryan is deep for the Raiders. He's already returned 4 kicks for 113 yards this year. This one's going to go high and come down to him in the back of the end zone. Out he comes to the goal line, the 5, getting chased from behind and brought down by McLean low from in front, and he doesn't even get back to the 10-yard line. So the Hammers coverage team does a good job getting down there and pinning Bryant against the wall, not giving him room to maneuver and break another big return, as we've seen him do last season and in the first game against Trenton especially. A couple of big field position changing returns for him.
Well, the Hammers didn't get the uno on the opening kickoff, didn't put it through the post, but has a good high kickoff. And talk about the versatility in the indoor game. There's Charles McLean, arguably your best receiver, flying down to make a great tackle on the opening kickoff.
Raiders offense comes out with Stephen Colon at the helm. His first start as a professional indoor football player. He came in the game as a backup last week. and completed 8 of 18 passes. His first pass this week is complete over the middle to Hakeem Moore down to the 15-yard line. And there's nothing like a young quarterback completing his first pass of the game.
Nothing like him completing a tough first pass of the game. He really had to zip it in there, didn't have a lot of room, and made a really good throw.
Space gets tight in indoor football. It is 8-on-8. The field's only 28 yards wide. And when you get those crossing routes going on with the linebackers who are restricted in their movements, they're in the middle of the field all the time. They can make things tough for you. Hakeem Moore is going to go in forward motion, another unique feature to indoor football. You can run towards the line before the snap. This pass is complete to Herb Jones on the wall. He eludes one defender and gets down towards midfield for a first down.
Well, it was a good job by Jones. Nathan Wade had the coverage. He thought he had Jones bumped into the wall and out of bounds. The officials disagreed, and Jones had the presence of mind to keep the feet moving.
Let's check it out and see if we can see contact. You've got to be down by contact, and if he brushed him without Jones touching the wall, he's still alive. You've got to be against the wall and be touched, because there's no sideline in indoor football, just a padded wall around the field.
Very clearly there, the officials had it right.
1st and 10 from midfield. Antoine Williams with the dreadlocks flowing goes in circle motion behind the formation. Stephen Cologne back to pass, steps up, has room to run, gets across midfield, jukes a man out of his feet, goes to the 20-yard line, and runs for the boundary as he was being closed in on by Vince Hill on the sideline.
Hill got his money's worth there. Cologne almost became a souvenir on the play, but Alabama lost contain up front. Cologne with great vision to recognize it and turn that into a huge gain.
Pressure got upfield a little bit. Cologne put a juke right there on Travis Blanchard and then headed for the hills.
Now, what's the rule on that? If a fan catches a guy, does he get to take him home?
He can take the football home. Can't take the player home.
Good-looking opening drive for a team that's had a tough time scoring points.
2nd down and 3. The Raiders like these second and short situations. Hakeem Moore goes in motion. It'll be a handoff to Kenny Jones, trying to get through the first wave, but he's grabbed up high and brought down, and a flag comes down at the end of the play.
Darian Barnes got a little carried away right there, and that's kind of a foolish penalty after Caleb Bostic made a pretty good play to slow that down.
They're going to get sharp for the personal foul after the play.
Bostic made almost a last-ditch start of a tackle here as Jones almost popped it.
And right there, that last push, I think is what they called.
Yep, Brandon Sharp saw Barnes on top of the play, but that was actually Sharp bringing him down after the whistle for forward progress had been blown.
So it gives the Raiders 1st and goal at the Hammers' 8-yard line. Opening possession of the game, and the Raiders come out with a trips left look. Moore goes in motion. Stephen Cologne looks to throw. Pumps brings it down. He's wrapped up and might actually have fallen forward on the tackle as Darian Barnes got to him and didn't let him escape this time.
Well, you mentioned space in the arena game. You know, when you get it down where the Raiders have the ball now, space becomes at a premium. It's difficult to pop open, and Cologne just didn't have a receiver there.
The back wall behind the end zone becomes a 9th defender in these red zone situations. Raiders head coach James Fuller there giving the play to Stephen Cologne. A coach from each team is allowed to be on the field during play. And Fuller, also the team's offensive coordinator, calling the plays for the Raiders. This is a 2nd and goal call. Cologne pumps, runs to his right, directs traffic. He's going to have to run for his life again. Going to get a couple of yards, but again, Barnes is in the middle of the play off the defensive line for the Hammers, making things rough for a Cologne down in these close quarters.
Pretty good job by the Raider offensive line there initially to give Cologne a chance to kind of at least look through his progressions, but again, tight spaces, nobody open.
He got it down to the 6-yard line. 3rd down and goal from there.
Boy, and if you're the Raiders, you've had the tough time you've had the first 2 weeks, you really want to put this one in the box.
Raiders did score first last week with a field goal, made it 3-0. Want to get a touchdown here and go up on their first possession. Cologne dumps it off to the tight end Caruso, but Travis Blanchard is there. He stayed home, and Caruso couldn't get more than a yard down to the 5.
And that's one of those matchups in the arena game. You have one lineman who's essentially a tight end, so Caruso, 6'4", 306, an eligible receiver, and a very good tackle by Travis Blanchard, who weighs about $185.
So TC Stevens comes on for a field goal. Cologne will place it at the 12. They'll make it a 20-yard attempt. Goalpost 15 feet off the ground, and Stevens splits them. So the Raiders do get some points on their first possession. Hammers head coach Dean Kokinos is high-fiving his defense coming off, holding the Raiders to a field goal.
Yeah, that's a win for the defense there. Quality job on the special teams. Snap, hold, kick, perfect. But that really is a win for Alabama, and it's frustrating for the Raiders. They haven't scored a first-half touchdown yet this season. They've had some good possessions, but haven't been able to put it in the end zone.
It was a 6-play drive for the Raiders. Took the first 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the game. But in that red zone, as we mentioned, the drive sputtered a little bit, and Stevens bails out the offense, coming through with that 20-yarder.
Love the call to the tight end. I really thought that was an inspired play. You just have to give Alabama the physical credit. They made the tackle they had to make in the open field.
Stevens will kick it off, and John, you mentioned on the opening kickoff, the Uno the Hammers failed to get. Kickoff splits the uprights. The kicking team gets a point, and the receiving team starts on the 5-yard line. So it's a double whammy for the receiving team, getting down a point and getting backed up field position-wise. Stevens, normally one of the most reliable Uno kickers in this league. Hasn't had one yet this year, but he loves kicking in this building. We'll see what he can do on his first try.
For a minute, the air conditioning got a little vigorous and blew the ball off the tee.
As long as it's at his back, that's the real home field advantage. Get those fans blowing. They kick away a low one. It's going to bounce at the 7, and it's going to be taken on the hop. Coming out McLean from about the 3 to the 15-yard line. Bryant down there, trips him up at the 15-yard line.
Well, it's a really good open field tackle by Jerron Bryant. McLean wound up with a genuine head of steam there.
We've got a stoppage in the play as we get to our first media timeout of the ball game. Taking a look at McLean's pretty good return for the Hammers. They will have the ball across the 15 to the 16-yard line when we return to the Richmond Coliseum. Back after this, you're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
I forgot it.
Her nurse,
You need a claim number?
her personal assistant,
Let me just grab a.
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Back to the action in the Richmond Coliseum. First drive of the game for the Alabama Hammers. Kevin Huff starts a quarterback for this Alabama team, still looking for its first win of the 2014 season. Quick drop for Huff on the first play, throws it out to the far side. Miko McSwain there to make the catch at about the 20-yard line. Ray Little on coverage for the Raiders.
So much of the indoor game is about 1- and 3-step drops and just very quick timing patterns. That was crisply executed there by Huff.
By Huff and McSwain. That ball comes at you pretty quick, and when your back is against the wall, literally, you got to be in the right position to have good reaction time, and McSwain, as the MVP last year, has shown that time and again. McSwain now on the near side, outside the numbers. McSwain to his right, the motion man. It comes out to McSwain again across the 20, trying to get through the Raiders' defense. He's brought down by Devin Jones, a very active Devin Jones, a flag behind the play, as Jones off the defensive line got downfield to make that hit.
Danny Liddell of the Hammers wound up behind the play, entangled with a Raider defender. That's what the flag's about. It was well away from the point of attack.
And they're going to get the Raiders for the dead ball personal foul. Going to tack on extra 10 yards after flagging Kevin Allen for some extracurriculars.
Good looking bubble screen there from Alabama. First 2 plays sharply executed. This bunch scored 65 points last week.
8 yards on the completion to McSwain, 10 more on the penalty, and it's 1st and 10 Alabama at the Raider 13-yard line. Huff directing traffic. McClain goes in motion, gets the handoff behind the line, and runs down the sideline, gets a block downfield, and is run into the wall. Malik Cromartie there to make initial contact. Kevin Allen in the neighborhood as well.
It's an interesting play call from Alabama. There are teams that will occasionally try to run the football, but Alabama, first 2 weeks of the season, wasn't one of them.
Very pass-happy team as they've shown the last year plus. Last season they were a very pass-oriented team, as most teams are in the league, but especially the Alabama squad. But that time, it was a 9-yard pickup on the ground. The Hammers are not dressing a traditional fullback. They're adding an extra offensive lineman in the backfield. Huff to throw, pumps, brings it down. Hines in the backfield looking at him, but he stays on his feet and throws it away.
Boy, a lot of stuff there. Some good pressure from Preston Hines, although he was turned and nearly held by Darius Turner, the tackle, and then great effort at the wall by the receiver. But
see Hines getting a great push and making Huff uncomfortable behind the line. Double coverage from the Raiders defense in the corner, and Huff had to throw it away. 3rd down and goal for the Hammers. Jeremy Greer's the motion man. Huff a quick drop, looks to the end zone, has to bring it down, is in trouble, throws it, it's going to go incomplete.
Boy, fortunate there because Huff had time to count the house. There was late pressure from Preston Hines, but by then Huff had an opportunity to just about sign autographs.
He was looking for McSwain in the end zone, who tried to come through, thought he was held right there by Ray Little. But no flag comes down. Good job by Little and this Raiders secondary. And the Hammers will have to try for a field goal on their first possession.
It's good coverage if you get away with it.
19-yard attempt for Armando Cuco. Kicks away. It's no good. He pushed it wide left. And the Raiders hang on to a 3-0 lead.
Yep, snap was just a little bit high and may have thrown the timing off for Cuco just a bit there.
Just a little bit. You see the high snap, but it was pulled down. Laces seem to be out. Not a problem with the actual placement. The kick just sailed wide, and Cuco is not able to answer the Raiders' opening salvo. 3-0 Raiders. They get the ball back. It comes out to the 10-yard line. They look to add to their field goal lead. Stephen Colon was 3 for 3 on that first drive passing. Couple of scrambles that didn't quite net the yardage he wanted. A low snap from the shotgun. He has to pick it up, and he gets rid of it to Moore, who can't make the catch.
Boy, you got to squeeze that one. eBay got there and laid a little hit, but by then the ball had already got through the hands of Akeem Moore.
Yeah, Moore was open, coming back towards the play. And as you see Moore get shoved after the play, it was the one that he'll probably tell you he should have had.
Yeah, that's a good throw. Really good job there from Cologne under duress from the poor snap.
Trips right for the Raiders on 2nd and 10. Moore is the motion man. Cologne from under center steps up. He's going to get brought down. Sacked to the 5-yard line by Brandon Sharp.
That pocket just collapsed, and Cologne didn't have time to pull the trigger on a 3-step drop. A little bit of a slower developing pattern. He needed protection, didn't get it.
Good rush by Sharp just to get by Roman Pritt on a bull rush and then have a free shot at Cologne.
Caleb Bostic had some penetration there as well.
Brings up 3rd and long for the Raiders. They converted a 3rd down on the first drive, but it wasn't 3rd and 15. We'll see what Coach Fuller dials up from deep in their own territory. Antoine Williams goes in motion with his neon green shoes and gloves. Cologne looking for him. He dives but can't make the catch as the ball was underthrown.
Well, that's a shame from the Raider perspective. That's the first poor throw from Cologne. Williams managed to pop open, and then potentially there was some big yardage there as he was working on Vince Hill, and ball just didn't get there.
There's no punting allowed in indoor football, so on fourth down you've got to either go for it or try a field goal, and it's the latter choice that Coach Fuller is making with T.C. Stevens and the field goal unit coming on. It'll be a long try for T.C. As in the outdoor game, short kicks are returnable, and Charles McClain is back there in case that's what happens. It's a 60-yard attempt for TC. From a couple yards deep in the end zone, he's going to keep it short and in play. McClain makes the catch of the 5, and here he comes to the 10 and the 15 behind a block. Sutter steps to his right. He comes to the 20. He's wrapped up and brought down. Good coverage downfield by Christian Lacey, bottling him up and not falling for any of his jukes or jives.
Yeah, that's a strong tackle by Lacey. Again, McClain had all sorts of room. This one wasn't close.
McClain able to line it up and catch it almost on the run. Get a good have his team going behind a block there from Vince Hill, but didn't do much after that.
That's a strong tackle. That had the potential to really wind up being a big play for Alabama.
He did bring it out to the 19-yard line, so still pretty good field position for the Hammers on their second offensive possession. A hard count gets the Raiders to jump, and there's going to be a 5-yard walk-off as a couple of those D linemen fell for Kevin Huff's inflection.
Yeah, it was a group infraction right there. Devin Jones had the deepest penetration, but he wasn't by himself.
They actually identify Preston Hines as the guilty culprit, but you're right, they could have picked about any of the Raider defensive linemen and been right on that call.
I'm sure Hines is wondering why he got picked.
Yeah, why me?
Probably the closest guy to the official who dropped the flag.
A walk off 5 yards. It comes to the 24-yard line, a yard shy of midfield. Billy Jarvis, defensive coordinator, giving the calls to his defense on first and short. The whole playbook's open now for the Hammers. Huff is back to throw. He steps up, fires over the middle. McClain makes the catch. Immediately hit by Malik Cromartie, but he pops up and gives the first down signal in Raiders territory inside the 15.
Well, a strong throw from Huff, and he really did a nice job of feeling the pressure, stepped up at exactly the right moment.
The pressure came from Devin Jones, but Huff, as you mentioned, avoided it, delivered a strike right on time to McClain.
Now Alabama got down here on their first possession, and once the space got tight, the offense really sputtered.
First and 10 for him from the 13-yard line. Huff brings it down, fires again. It's low to Dupree. The Raiders think it hit the turf.
Well,
the referees are going to talk about it. Let's see if we get an angle on it and see if Maurice Dupree has his first catch of the game or if this one should have been brought back. A little bit out of the picture, but both Raiders in front of the ball, Kevin Allen and Malik Cromartie, clearly signaling that it hit the turf.
Yeah, the official on the spot immediately signaled catch.
The catch stands. Second down from the 6. Huff, a little wide receiver screen to McClain, tries to get behind some blocks, going for the corner, is stacked up and piled onto by the Raiders secondary.
Good pursuit from Ray Little out of Sacramento State. Was able to run him down from behind. Pretty good call this part of the field.
He gets the other two receivers blocking for him out in front. Tries to run to the short corner. Tries to get to the corner of the end zone, but the Raiders there to prevent that. At least for the time being. It's first and goal from the 2-yard line.
And you mentioned Alabama doesn't use a true running back at the fullback spot. They actually use Jeremiah Zini, a defensive lineman. And now they've got Danny Liddell back there.
Yeah, switching it up in the backfield. It's going to get handed off to McClain behind the formation. He's going to get hit by Tyson first, and a couple other Raiders after that. He didn't get in. Lacey was there to help clean up after Gus Tyson came down to make initial contact.
Devin Jones driving his feet as well. Really a good job by Raider linebackers and defensive linemen there.
I think the Raiders were ready for that handoff behind the line to McClain coming from the wide receiver slot behind the formation. He did get down to the 1 yard line, picking up a yard. But as the first quarter comes to an end, the Raiders, in a low-scoring affair, have a 3-0 lead after one period. 15 minutes in the books from the Richmond Coliseum. It is Raiders 3, Hammers nothing. We'll take a timeout. Come back to the Richmond Coliseum after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum, ready to start the second quarter. Tim Hurley and John Abbott with you. A fast-paced but low-scoring first period. It's Raiders 3, Hammers nothing, but Alabama knocking on the door.
Yeah, second good drive for Alabama that was set up by the short field goal miss and a good return. And the Raiders again trying to get a red zone stop.
Second and goal for the Hammers from the 1 yard line. Two receivers to the short right side, and Dupree alone lined up one-on-one to the left, and now McClain comes around in motion to that side. It's going to be a keeper by Huff. He's going to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Hammers.
And that was easy for Kevin Huff. Good push up the middle and an interesting little push from behind by Jeremiah Zini.
Well, that's the advantage to getting an offensive lineman in the backfield.
That used to be
Zine at 6'4", 340.
There was a time when you couldn't do that.
Yeah, that used to be illegal. The Bush push, as it were. But it counts in this one, and it's 6-3 Hammers with Kuko on for the extra point.
I bet Zini's a pretty good bouncer in the offseason.
Kuko nails it. And the Hammers on the first play of the second quarter go out in front for the first time. It's 7-3 with 14:14 to go in the first half.
Well, solid drive there for Alabama. They took advantage of the short field goal, had good field position. Kevin Huff, a couple of solid throws. They've shown that high motion run play a couple of times with McClain that's been effective for them. And then they just played real old-time kind of smash-mouth football there to punch the thing in.
You don't get too much smash-mouth football in the indoor game, but down to the 1 yard line, you do what you got to do.
They just bum rush the quarterback into the end zone.
Yeah.
Got the Oregon Duck helmets going tonight. That wasn't an Oregon Duck kind of play there at the end.
I think the Oregon Ducks of all teams would adapt well to the indoor game.
If anybody playing outdoors could, it'd be those guys. See if the Raiders can get some things going offensively. They're sharp at the start of their first drive, less sharp on their second drive.
Scooby Bryan Steve to try to return the kickoff and give them good field position to start their next drive. The kick from Kuko, another high, deep one, and he'll catch it with his back against the wall. From 8 yards deep in the end zone, Bryant comes out across the 10-yard line. Takes it to the 12 or the 13.
I liked how relaxed he looked waiting for that ball.
He was deking him. He wanted everyone to think that was going out of play, but at the last second, caught it, came out of the end zone, got a block from Herb Jones. It was brought down by Guinea eBay, who was in Knoxville the last couple of years, came over to Alabama this offseason, is playing defensive back for him and getting down on kick coverage as well. This will be the best starting field position for the Raiders of the contest so far. They'll have it at the 13-yard line.
A little issue with the chains holding play up.
Well, if the chains get knotted when the Raiders have the ball, you got to keep them that way.
There you go.
Get an 8-yard first down.
Train that chain crew.
Got to educate the chain crew on the home field advantage here.
Well, those guys in the indoor game really have to hustle, too. You need guys who can buzz around.
Stephen Colon under center, sending Bryant behind the formation. It'll be a swing pass out to him. He gets a good block from Herb Jones and takes off down the sideline, getting close to the 20-yard line.
Well, that block by Jones was huge, too, because Alabama read that play well, and they were maybe a step away from turning this into a pick six the other way.
Safe pass behind the formation. They couldn't quite get back there when the ball did, but if not for Herb Jones, you're right, there could have been either a blow-up or a negative play, or they could have knocked it out. But instead it's second down and a couple for the Raiders. Colon swings it out to Herb Jones, bouncing it off the turf, incomplete.
Colon's frustrated with himself, and he knows that that's his second that he's kind of bounced on a receiver when he had somebody open.
That's a play both of those guys have to make. Herb has to get his hands down underneath the ball and make the catch, but Colon, in that play, which is a staple of this Raiders offense under James Fuller, has to get it to the wall in a place where Jones can catch it and turn upfield and get some yards after the catch.
And now it creates a tough third down play. Really need to move the sticks here.
Third down and 2.5 or 3 yards. Trips left for the Raiders. Hakeem Moore going in motion, but they run out of time on the play clock. It's going to become 3rd and 8.
Yeah, they were trying to, well, they did get the timeout called. That might have been as quickly as Colon's going to move all year. He was frantically trying to get that timeout and just beat the clock.
Raiders burn their first timeout as Colon huddles up with Coach Fuller. Still 3rd and short, though, and the Raiders have shown they can convert those 3rd and shorts. It's when they got into 3rd and 15 on their last drive they got into some trouble.
Well, this is an important one, too. You want to find a way to establish some offensive momentum and keep the offense on the field for a stretch.
Raiders trailing 7-3 in the ball game. 12:37 remaining second quarter. Now the receivers are huddling up with the quarterback and the coach to get everybody on the same page. You got to pick up this conversion, like you mentioned, John. Move the chains, keep the offense out there, and keep moving the ball down the field for a go-ahead score.
Had a couple of pretty good-looking concepts to this, and you see Colon just getting that timeout called because in the indoor game you get a little buzzer that goes with the play clock, and that buzzer was.
It definitely buzzed.
Yeah,
definitely heard it here in the arena.
That was really close.
So coming out of timeout, 3rd down, 3 yards to go for the Raiders. Hakeem Moore, 12 yards deep, getting ahead of steam towards the line. Colon takes the snap, fires it out to Bryant, who can't bring it in. He tried to make like one-handed catch, but Vince Hill was there on coverage to wrap him up, not let him get his other arm extended, and he couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, Bryant just had too many things going on right there. He was trying to catch the ball, take a peek, and throws a little bit offline.
Yeah, a little bit upfield, but might have been able to get 2 hands on that even before Hill got there.
And that's really the key. You have 2 hands. There's no reason not to use them both, and that probably was what caused the drop more than anything else.
The offense is going to stay out there. Raiders going for it on 4th down and 3. Snap is fumbled, and the Hammers get it. Either way, it was going to go back to the Hammers the way that play started. Instead, it was a fumble with Brandon Sharp recovering.
Yeah, that'll wind up a turnover and outstanding field position for the Hammers. Just a bad exchange.
Pritt and Cologne not on the same page. Kenny Jones, the fullback, couldn't dive on it in time from right behind the quarterback. He was trying to get it, but Sharp held him off and then fell on the football. Good job by Brandon Sharp out of Syracuse to do two things at once and recover the ball for the Hammers.
Looked like the snap was right where it needed to be. One of Cologne was distracted trying to do something else.
Hammers take over at the Raider 20-yard line. Starting in Raiders territory, and Huff airing it out for the end zone, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Maurice Dupree, but Torres Jones was right there with him to knock it away.
Boy, Dupree almost made a great catch. He's pleading he was interfered with.
Kevin Allen calling the coverage for the Raiders. Jones getting back there man-on-man, and a great play by Torres Jones.
That's an outstanding play by Jones. Yes, he was over the back, but he had good position playing the ball over the back. That's outstanding defensive back play.
Didn't push him forward, didn't knock him down, went straight up for the ball, and we'll give him a PBU on that one. The pass broken up for number 8. The Hammers are going to call timeout here.
In real time, I actually thought Dupree had more of an opportunity to catch that ball than he did. I thought he almost brought it in, but clearly on the replay you can see Jones taking charge on that play.
That's about as even of a matchup as we'll get in this game. Both Dupree and Jones listed at 6 foot, 185 pounds. So a true battle, mano a mano for that one, with Jones winning that particular encounter.
And Dean Kokinas wanted a timeout, and he's going to try to regroup the Alabama offense here. Saw Billy Jarvis there momentarily, a true veteran of the indoor game. And there's an actual indoor football rivalry between Huntsville and Richmond that goes back to the birth of the game in these parts. You can go back to the Richmond Speed of the Tennessee Valley Vipers in 2000, 2001, 2002, and there were some hugely spirited and very important games between those two teams over a 3 or 4 year stretch.
Yeah, some of the coaching staffs definitely, and veteran players on both sides familiar with the Richmond Coliseum and the Von Braun Center in Huntsville. In this incarnation, the Hammers are on a 3-game winning streak in the series. On 2nd and 10, Huff to throw, steps up and throws it behind the intended receiver Dupree, and he can't bring it in with one hand. Jones again there on coverage, and that's one that if Huff had led Dupree, might have been a big play.
Yeah, Raiders caught a break right there because you'll see Huff has an opportunity to count the house here. Clear field of vision, all kinds of time to throw. Made a poor throw and then nearly a spectacular catch by Dupree.
Yeah, the Red Sea parted for Huff right up the middle. Had all day to throw, the whole field to look at, and just threw it behind Dupree. So now it's 3rd and 10 for Alabama. Crowd starting to get into it, make some noise on 3rd down. Huff to throw. Here comes the pressure. Down he goes. And if you can give out a quarter of a sack, there were 4 Raiders back there that converged on Kevin Huff and dropped him at the Hammer 21.
And something happened with the Raiders defensively that caused Dean Kokinos to nearly have his headset pop right off his head. He's all over the officials right now.
He probably wants an outside rush or an illegal defense called.
Yeah, he was all over the near side official during the progress of the play. He was halfway out on the field.
The Hammers lose 9 on a big 3rd down sack, and on 4th and 19 they're going to have to bring up the field goal unit. And Kuko a much longer try. He missed a 19-yarder earlier. This is a 44-yard attempt. A little bit of a high snap, but it's brought down. The kick on the way. It's going to be caught over the wall and brought out by Ray Little. He gets across the goal line to the 5, trying to get a block behind Preston Hines, but he's tripped up as he cuts back toward the middle of the field. And a big, perhaps touchdown-saving tackle made by Vince Hill.
Oh, Vince Hill just maybe deprived the Raiders of an absolute highlight film moment, starting with the surreal catch.
Yeah, hanging on to it over the wall. A couple of nice blocks. Torres Jones got one there. There's Hines getting downfield, and maybe Little, if he had that one back, would have cut to his right down the wall outside of Hines instead of cutting inside behind him.
but good field position for the Raiders and a little momentum boost.
Raiders a couple yards shy of midfield. From the 23-yard line, they'll go on 1st and 10. Cologne takes the snap cleanly, is back to throw, airs it out deep, looking for Hakeem Moore, and he hauls it in over the shoulder. Touchdown, Raiders! And there's the big play this offense needed.
Just a great job by Hakeem Moore adjusting back to this ball and creating space for himself.
A veteran move by the wide receiver out of Towson, and Cologne just airs it out, puts a lot of air underneath it, lets Moore do his thing running under the ball, and a nice adjustment, hauling it in over the shoulder on the run as that ball was fast approaching in the corner of the end zone. And a man was on him, too. That was eBay trying to disrupt his vision, but a good job by Moore to bring it in and give the Raiders the lead. Stevens for the extra point, puts it through. And with 7:57 to go in the second quarter, the Raiders go up 10-7.
Yeah, tremendous individual effort here by Moore. And I love the call. You get a little momentum off the crowd-pleasing return and just go for it. Cologne off his back foot, chucked it up in the air, and a tremendous individual effort by Moore to haul it in.
He saw the coverage he wanted, and he knew as long as it was one-on-one with Moore running the go route, that's where he was going with the football. Kept it in play. That's the ball that's easy to overthrow because you want to lead him behind the defender. You don't want to throw it over the wall, though. So he dropped it right where he needed to. And Moore and the receivers and Cologne getting downfield to celebrate with him. Getting the end zone for the first time tonight.
Almost wonder if that was a check down. I don't know if we can see that one more time. Cologne looks out at Hakeem Moore just before the snap and kind of gives him a little wave, and I wonder if he saw something in the coverage pre-snap that led him to change the play and think he had an opportunity there. Either way, that's huge for the Raiders.
Yeah. And if so, it's a good sign for Stephen Cologne, getting more comfortable with the offense, more comfortable reading defenses and communicating with his receivers and turning it into a touchdown.
You know, they had 2 consecutive series that weren't very effective, and you know, we're kind of out in the middle of the crowd. I could hear folks grumbling, you know, change quarterbacks, you know, and that's their first half touchdown of the year right there.
Charles McClain, the deep man for Alabama. Stevens to kick it off. This is a high driving kick going towards the uprights and nailing the Uno. T.C. Stevens gets off the schneid, his first Uno of the year, and it puts the Raiders up 11-7.
And the crowd loves it. That's a nice momentum builder in the building. You know, your home team, you can drill one of those. It gets people really excited.
It's a great view of it right here, coming right into your screen. T.C. Stevens into the netting for a point.
By the way, it's a 58-yard kick over a 15-foot crossbar. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's a tiny target standing on the opposite end of the field.
That's a strong kick. And Alabama now starts in the shadow of their own goalpost.
Yeah,
so
they
it's just a win-win.
Have to start at the 5-yard line. Raider defense a chance to make a big play on this series. McSwain patrols the end zone, comes out of it in forward motion. Looking in his direction comes Huff. He makes the catch at the 10-yard line. A couple Raiders there to bring him down, but he's forward to the 15. Kevin Allen and Ray Little couldn't quite stop the momentum of Charles McClain. He gets the first down.
That's almost the indoor version of the West Coast offense. Just chip away, little 5 to 7 yard, you know, one-step drop timing routes. And you can be very effective with that. That was how the Richmond Speed got to a championship game in 2001.
And Coach Dean Kokinos of the Hammers is good at running that offense and then mixing in the long play every so often. McSwain, McClain both capable of going deep. McSwain had 132 yards on just 9 catches in the Hammers' first game this year. And as we mentioned earlier, McClain had 17 catches last week, 3 touchdowns among them.
Yeah, there wasn't any mystery where the ball was going.
1st and 10, Jeremy Greer, the motion man. Looks to him over the middle, makes the catch in space, goes into Raider territory, takes it down to the 21, 22-yard line.
I was out at the Ottawa Red Blacks mini camp earlier this week having a conversation. In Canadian football, you can have high motion. I wish we could see that high motion guy again because he's 4 or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage before the snap. like you're going to get a little grace period. I know in the CFL it's maybe a yard, perhaps 2 on a good day. He's a good 5 yards across the line of scrimmage.
And to the PIFL, they'll give you a 1 or 2 steps beyond the line. This one onside. Screen pass comes out to McClain. The speedy Charles McClain down to the 15-yard line before Malik Cromartie can get there.
There's that bubble screen again. Pretty good read by Cromartie. With the Hammers just chipping away.
He was the intended receiver all the way. You saw Kevin Huff just take a 0-step drop and shuttle it out to him.
That was a good job by Cromartie. He really had to fight off a blocker right there. As Billy Jarvis trying to find something that will slow the Hammers down.
2nd down and 5. They're in Raiders territory as we're under 6 minutes to play second quarter. Another swing pass to McClain. He has open field in front of him, but Malik Cromartie makes a good tackle along the wall.
Now Cromartie putting on an open field tackle clinic, but Alabama continues to find some open spaces and move the ball down the field.
You don't want to make too many open field tackles in indoor football because it means, as we've seen this drive, that the other team is getting downfield and making plays in space, taking your secondary, taking your linebackers out of it, and getting the matchups that the offense wants.
You have the 2 big receivers. They're physical enough to move people around.
Handoff is fake to the big man. McClain in trouble. He's going to throw it away. And he was probably going to throw it anyway, as it was most likely a designed handoff pass. But James Carter got back there, as did Devin Jones. And the referees are going to discuss perhaps intentional grounding.
He was outside the hash marks.
He was outside the pocket. Look at him come all the way to the right and run some more. Did the pass get back to the line of scrimmage, though?
Now that may be another issue. We had an ineligible receiver. That's the problem with that kind of a play. Your timing really has to be flawless, because if you're trying to sell the reverse, you got to have people downfield blocking a little bit.
Tracy Lynch is our referee tonight. He made the call. Incomplete pass.
Yeah, they decided to pick that one up.
2nd down and goal from the 9-yard line.
Sorry, Tim. Interesting gadget play there. You don't see a lot of that kind of stuff in the indoor game. Alabama added some pages to the playbook this week.
Trips right. Greer, the high motion man. Huff looks his way. He makes the catch inside the 5. Cromartie there to wrap him up.
Well, it's a good throw by Huff. That's one of those where he didn't have a lot of time or space and really zipped it.
Huff is not indecisive.
No, he isn't.
He makes a read, he locks on someone, and he gets the ball out.
And in almost 2.5 games, he hasn't thrown a pick yet, so he's making pretty good decisions.
3rd down and goal. Hammers 3 yards away from going back in the lead. They trail by 4 for the moment. Huff under center. Back to throw. To the back of the end zone he goes, and it's caught by Jeremy Greer. He hangs on with Cromartie draped over him. Touchdown Hammers, and they do go back into the lead, 13-11.
Well, that's a good job by Greer. Another tough throw by Huff in very tight spaces, and Greer managed to kind of out-wrestle the defender there.
Over the middle, back of the end zone, man draped all over him. A good job by Greer with not only Cromartie, but the rest of the Raiders' sideline. Bench players behind there trying to help out.
Boy, Huff, he didn't have a lot of space to make that throw, and that really is a good job catching the ball by Greer, with Cromartie playing it about as well as he could have.
Kukoc misses the extra point, so it remains 13-11, and the Coliseum will bill him for hitting the scoreboard and knocking out the clock.
I was going to say, the guy's just killing the scoreboard here. He smoked the Papa John sign down at the other end.
Get a good look at it here. It just sails left. And goodbye to a couple of digits off that clock.
We got to start extending the nets a little bit. James Fuller in a discussion with the officials, and I'm wondering if he's discussing the concept of picks.
Picks and maybe guys downfield. I'm not sure he agrees with the call on the gadget play from a couple plays ago. The referee got an explanation. 3-yard pass from Huff to Greer caps a 7-play, 45-yard drive following the Uno. Huff's second touchdown of the game, one running and that one passing. 13-11, Hammers on top by a pair. 2:26 to go, second quarter. And Kuko to kick it off. A high driving kick. This one is going to find the second row.
No Uno, it almost became a souvenir. And now she's probably not going to be on the kick return team next week.
Trying to lay it up over the railing and give her a second chance at it. Had it lined up sideways. The laces were left and the ball went left, and the gentleman falls over the seat. See, catching kickoffs is not as easy as it looks.
No. Imagine he won't get a second look at the open tryout.
He'll get a second, third, and fourth look at that replay, though, once his friends post it to YouTube.
It's a wonderful age we live in.
1st and 10 Raiders. Cologne under center. A quick drop for him, running to his right, over the middle to Herb Jones. And Herb's going to get a first down, falling forward over the top of Nathan Wade.
Yeah, Cologne bought himself some time. It was a pretty good job right there by Jones to extend that route. Recognize what his quarterback had in mind.
Jones getting in front of Wade with his big body, that 6'3", 205-pound frame. Securing the football, and then Wade caught up to him to make the tackle, but not before Herb got 11 yards and a Raider first down. Final 90 seconds of the first quarter. Moore is the motion man. Cologne looks his direction, steps up in the pocket, and fumbles the ball, falls on it, and the Raiders look like they will keep possession. I think the Hammers stripped it after he was down as Benji McDowell comes up with the ball. They're going to give it to the Hammers.
Oh, I don't know. I really thought Cologne was down.
It looked like he got the ball, was down by contact before McDowell stripped it from him. We get a good look at it here as Cologne runs up, loses it on his own. Hard to see if he had control, but if he had possession at all right there, he was definitely down by contact. Number 7, Travis Blanchard, kind of screened us on that angle. We'll see if we can get a better look at it here. Ball comes out. That looked like Cologne
like
had it.
Control at that point, and at that point,
McDowell was laying on him. He was down by contact for sure.
Yeah, the only question is, did he have control?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean,
and from that angle, you can't tell because of Blanchard.
It'd be a good angle if Blanchard wasn't right there, but
we could ask him.
Hard to tell.
Have the decency to step aside.
Yeah.
Second turnover.
Well, in the changeover, we get to the 1-minute warning, and we get a timeout with it. So as we get to the final 60 seconds of the first half, we'll step aside here for a brief moment. Back after this, you're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Did you take your medicine? Oh gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse.
You need a claim number?
Her personal assistant.
Let me just grab a...
Her housekeeper. Her cook. Her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe to phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum. Tim Hurley here with John Emmett as the touchdown dance contest continues. Dean Kokinos hopes that one of his players will be able to do a touchdown dance in the final minute of the first half after a questionable turnover by the Raiders. But bad call or not, Stephen Colon has to secure that ball when he's running in the open field.
Yeah, it was just a tough break. It's not Australian rules football. You can't dribble the thing, and that winds up in the second turnover of the half. And now some real pressure on the defense. This is Alabama basically stealing a possession in the final minute of the half. They can get a score here. They really have a chance early in the second half to extend the lead.
Yeah, they could double dip as they'll receive the second half kickoff. They start in Raiders territory at the 23. 1st and 10. Huff, another swing pass. McSwain makes the catch, tries to let the blocking set up. It's going to fall forward to the 17.
In a way, that's kind of smash mouth pass plays. Love that bubble screen.
And they're throwing it into tight quarters. They want to get to the sideline, get to the boundary by the wall, and just let the blocking set up and see what they can do. McSwain at 6'3", 215, trying to out-physical the defense. Picked up 7 on that play.
Raiders using a timeout here, and again, it's about possessions. They're hoping maybe they can get them a 3 and out and get one more possession in the half. They're not worried about whether or not Alabama has enough time. They have plenty. So you see clock management things in the indoor game that you wouldn't see in the outdoor game. Defense calling a timeout here is one of those.
We saw an amazing chess match between these two coaches last season in Huntsville during the regular season when the two teams met late in the year. With that, exactly what we're seeing now, the gamesmanship in the final minute, because the timing rules change inside 1 minute of each half. They go to college timing rules. So on incomplete passes or plays to the sideline where they go out of bounds, the clock stops. First downs as well. And the Raiders trying to save some time defensively for another potential possession. Huff swings it out. McClain makes the catch. He's going to get a first down and go all the way inside the 10-yard line.
Boy, again, Cromartie made an open field tackle, and that might have saved a touchdown. That was really a well-conceived play from Alabama, and you had McClain out there in space, and after Cromartie doesn't get him, he's gone.
Nice adjustment, too, as McClain tried to cut back inside just as Cromartie was diving for him, and he stuck his left arm out and tripped him up. Clock moving, under 30 seconds to go. 1st and goal for the Hammers. Swing pass is bounced, and it might have actually been tipped. Did Hines get a hand on that one?
Yeah, I think Preston Hines tipped, and that's a big play.
Clock stops on incomplete passes inside 1 minute, so we're stuck at 25 seconds until the next snap.
Raiders really needed that one. They needed a guy to make a big individual defensive play. And Hines got some penetration and got a hand up just in time.
2nd down and goal. Hammers lead 13-11.
You get a good look at that pass deflection right there from Hines, the Norfolk State product, a 5th-year indoor pro.
Huff is going to look into the end zone, bring it back down, run to his right, and now just get rid of it as a flag comes out. The pass way incomplete over the back wall.
There was
got to check the penalty.
Danny Liddell was dragging Christian Lacey around. This would be holding.
They identified Darius Turner.
They got Darius Turner. See Liddell turning around to the official. Wait a minute, sir. I think that was actually me. Watch 54 here. They got 72 for the hold, but watch 54. There's a lot of holding going on here.
Right there on the right side. Yeah, he held him up and cost his team 10 yards. 17 seconds left. 2nd and goal from the 19.
In some ways, this isn't a bad spot. It gives Alabama a little more space.
Off a deep drop. A man in his face as he fires wide open in the end zone. McSwain hauls it in for the touchdown as Huff paid the price but got the last laugh.
Boy, laugh is right because that was an absolutely busted coverage. Ray Little was standing around wondering where in the world his teammates were. McSwain's so open here, he's got to wonder if he has a hygiene issue.
No one even in the picture. Huff sees that, his eyes light up.
Yeah, all he had to do was get it there.
Yeah, all he had to do was get rid of it. McSwain's first touchdown of the night, a 19-yarder, with 12 seconds left as the extra point goes through from Kukoc. Hammers extend their lead to 20-11.
Boy, that one hurts because the Raiders did really good things. You know, the previous two plays, the pass breakup by Hines, and then really good bull rush for Christian Lacey that forced a holding call. Now you got him backed up to the 19-yard line. You get a chance to get out of this thing without points, and an absolute, utter breakdown of coverage.
Well, I think what happened, as you said before the play, John, also came to pass. A longer field for the Hammers gave Huff more time to let his guy get downfield, even though the coverage was busted. Having that extra yardage might have made a difference as the pressure was coming and Huff could stand in long enough for his receiver to get open.
Little was looking around like the last guy at the Little Bighorn.
12 seconds left, and depending on whether or not the kickoff stays in play and there's a return to burn some of that time off the clock, the Raiders will have a snap or two. Best case scenario, 3 if Kukoc puts the kick out of bounds, but in this case, Coach Dean Kokinos might tell him to keep it in play just so the Raiders offense doesn't get more than a snap or two.
Yeah, if you kick it right, you might limit the Raiders to only one play from scrimmage. That's McSwain's 8th touchdown catch of the year in week 3.
That's a high, deep kick. It's going to go out of bounds.
Interesting.
So it's a touchback. Raiders get it at the 10-yard line, and still those 12 seconds on the clock. At the least, you've got to get into field goal range to give T.C. Stevens a chance. The Raiders have a timeout left.
You could stretch this into 3 plays if you manage the clock properly.
Coach Fuller giving the play to Cologne. Also called for Antoine Williams, who will split out to the wide right side and now shift over to the left side. See if number 1 gets involved in this play. Cologne's going to look downfield, step up under pressure, and get brought down, chased from behind. Raiders going to get that timeout call with 6 seconds left.
Caleb Bostic, good job there. Well, that was a shame from the Raider perspective because Hakeem Moore was popping wide open at about the Hammer 15.
And once Cologne knew that his containment was breaking down, he was just going to tuck and run. Didn't try to look downfield to see if anybody was getting open. You saw him pop up, though, and call timeout immediately, so at least he had the presence of mind to save these final 6 seconds and get another play called.
Yeah, he never had a chance to set up there. Now they're going to bring the field goal unit on right now with 6 seconds remaining.
Christian Lacey, the snapper, Cologne, the holder. He'll put it down at the 6-yard line. Make it a 52-yard attempt for T.C. Stevens. Snap's good, the hold's good. Kick on the way. It's going to have enough flag, but go wide to the left and fall into the Hammer bench. So the missed field goal by T.C. Stevens is going to end the first half. We've reached halftime with the score. Hammers 20, Raiders 11. We'll take a timeout, come back for some halftime talk after this. Stay tuned. It's Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am.
Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone Yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Did you take your medicine? Oh, gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse,
You need a claim number?
her personal assistant,
Let me just grab a...
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
We welcome you back to the Richmond Coliseum as the halftime festivities continue, and maybe the K9 unit can suit up and join the Raider defense. Make some tackles in the second half.
We can borrow that dog for kick coverage.
He can get down fast, that's for sure. He's not going to let go either. Big thanks to the Henrico Police K9 unit for coming out for this demonstration. I think he's hungry. He's ready to eat.
He's not playing.
Our score at halftime is Raiders trailing the Hammers 20-11. Raiders got off to a good start receiving the opening kickoff, got downfield to a first and goal situation inside the 10-yard line, but the drive fizzled there. They had to settle for a 20-yard T.C. Stevens field goal, but still got that first score and got on the board first to make it 3-0 in the first quarter. And then after the Hammers got a first down but not much more, they missed a short field goal from 19 yards, and the Raiders had the ball back more than midway through the first period, up 3-0, and a chance to extend that lead to a two-possession game, but couldn't quite do it as they were pinned back at their 10-yard line. Negative play and a penalty to the 5, and it was a long field goal out of the end zone for T.C. Stevens after a 3-and-out.
Well, the Raiders looked so sharp on that first possession. Then they had two possessions where they really kind of struggled, and then had some real genuine momentum going for a while there in the second quarter.
Yeah, in between those two rough possessions for the Raiders, the Hammers got on the board after a 5-play, 31-yard drive. Quarterback Kevin Huff ran it in from a yard out, got a nice push from a big, beefy offensive lineman lined up at the fullback spot, and once they got the momentum going, it was tough for the Raiders to stop Huff's 1-yard plunge to make it a 7-3 game. And early in the second quarter, Raiders had that second of two rough possessions like you were talking about, John. It was an unforced fumble as Stephen Cologne broke contain, had the ball in his hand, and just simply dropped it. Fell on it. It was hard to tell from the replays if he had possession and was done by contact before it was stripped by Brandon Sharp, but Sharp came away with the ball, was credited with the recovery, and the Hammers took over at the Raider 20-yard line. But the fire department, as they sometimes call their defense, came out and held the Hammers to a 3-and-out and a missed field goal. Kukoc missed it from 44 yards, so it was still just 7-3 with about 9 minutes to go in the second quarter, and the Raiders struck quick. Starting from their own 23-yard line, Cologne found Hakeem Moore on a perfectly executed play on both sides, passing and receiving.
And really a great job by Moore to come back, get himself some space, and Love the call by James Fuller. They had a little momentum after the stop. Cologne may have seen something coming to the line of scrimmage that triggered that route, and they made a nice throw off the back foot and a good quick score.
So it was 10-7 Raiders, and then after an Uno by T.C. Stevens, it was 11-7 Raiders. But the Hammers responded. They were back up at the 5-yard line after the Uno, went on a 7-play, 45-yard drive, took 5.5 minutes off the clock, and Huff found Jeremy Greer from 3 yards out after they got all the way down inside the 5-yard line, tacking on a touchdown to make it 13-11 with 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half.
And that was a throw that Huff threaded through a lot of traffic. Greer was extremely well defended by Malik Cromartie, and somehow Huff found about the one spot where Greer had an opportunity to make a catch.
And then 2 plays later, another turnover by the Raiders. It was a bad exchange. And on the fumble, the Hammers took over again, and that's the one that really killed the Raiders late in the half. A minute to go. You're driving down, only trailing by 2 points, so at worst, a field goal puts you in the lead. At best, a touchdown extends your lead a little bit. But they turn it over, and instead of the Raiders' offense trying to control the clock, milking that final minute, it was the Hammers' offense that got to do that. 4 plays later, they found the end zone. Huff hooked up with McSwain from 19 yards out, and McSwain had all day to take his temperature, catch the ball, do his taxes, file that return, and give the Hammers a 20-11 lead.
He was so open. He was playing in next week's game. And the tragedy there is the Raiders had made 2 consecutive good plays defensively. Preston Hines, a pass break up at the line of scrimmage, then a really good rush by Kristen Lacey that forced a holding call and backed him up to the 19. And then they had an absolutely broken, you want to go to a coaching clinic and show what a broken coverage looks like. That was it.
Not the film they'll enjoy watching on Monday. So 20-11 was the score, and then the final seconds, the Raiders ran a play, called timeout, and missed a long field goal, which brought us to our halftime break with a 9-point margin for the Hammers. We'll take another break here, come back to the Richmond Coliseum to give you the first half stats after this, so stay tuned to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help, but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum. Tim Hurley and John Emmett with you as we continue at halftime with the score Hammers 20, Raiders 11. Running down some of the first half stats, it was an up-and-down half for Stephen Cologne. He was 6 of 10 passing, 67 yards and a touchdown for the Raiders, 5 rushes for 14 yards and a fumble lost. Hakeem Moore had 2 catches for 35 yards and the touchdown. Herb Jones 2 catches for 20 yards. Jaron Bryant a catch for 7 yards. Kenny Jones at fullback, 1 carry, he lost 4 yards. And that was about it for the Raiders offense, aside from Jeff Caruso, the tight end who caught a pass for 5 yards, lumbering down the sideline in the red zone. T.C. Stevens, 1 of 1 on extra points, 1 of 3 on field goals, and he has an Uno. For the Hammers, Kevin Huff lighted it up with the short passes, the swing passes, the screens. He was 14 of 19 in the first half, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ran the ball once for a yard and a touchdown on the sneak on the keeper. Charles McClain did a bit of everything, had 6 catches for 48 yards, 2 runs for 10 yards, and actually attempted a pass. It went incomplete. Miko McSwain had 4 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. Jeremy Greer had 3 catches for 23 yards in the score, and Maurice Dupree had a catch for 6 yards. Armando Cuco, 2 of 3 on extra points, missed both of his field goal attempts, a short one and a long one. A chippy from 19 went no good, and a 44-yarder went wide as well. Defensively, the Raiders have made some big plays. A sack split by Devin Jones and Preston Hines. Torres Jones and Hines each have a pass broken up as well, and Torres Jones especially has been playing very well in the Raiders secondary.
Yeah, Jones had a huge hit on that goal line stand, near goal line stand. He was the guy that made the play at about the 2 that really pushed the ball carrier back and forced Alabama to have to wait until after the quarter break to come down to the other end and finally punch it in.
Defensively for Alabama, Brandon Sharp has a sack and a fumble recovery, and Benji McDowell has a fumble recovery as well. We'll take a look back at the first half with some of the first half highlights. When we return, another timeout from the Richmond Coliseum. We'll be back after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Did you take your medicine? Oh, gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse.
You need a claim number?
Her personal assistant.
Let me just grab a...
Her housekeeper. Her cook. Her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe to phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the home opener from the Richmond Coliseum as the Raiders trail the Hammers 20-11 at halftime. We'll take a look at some of the highlights of the first half, and there were a few on both sides of the ball for both teams.
Yeah, Raiders got a little more done offensively in the first half than they did in the first 2 games combined.
Here's that plunge by Kevin Huff, getting a nice push from Zine behind him at 340 pounds. Cologne swinging it out, and a nice run by Scooby Bryant after the catch. Got that key block from Herb Jones and turned it upfield. Cologne, there's the check with Hakeem Moore, and the check down to Scooby, and he couldn't quite make the catch. sacked by the Raiders. That was the jailbreak. About 4 guys got back there, and here's a nice over-the-wall catch by Ray Little, and the return going to come out of the end zone. And we're going to see a cut right at the end where right there, if he'd gone outside instead of inside, who knows if he could have broken it for an even bigger return. Cologne zipping it down for his only touchdown of the first half. That's Hakeem Moore adjusting his route, beating his man in coverage, making a great catch. Stevens tacking on the uno after that touchdown. And then Kevin Huff for the Hammers, finding guys open over the middle. He would find guys open on swing pass to the sideline as well, consistently throughout the first half. And this time he just threaded the needle over the umpire's head in front of Malik Cromartie to his receiver Jeremy Greer for the touchdown in the back of the end zone. Cologne, when he had time, was pretty good throwing. Found Herb Jones on a check down. But he had to run for his life a couple of times in the first half, too. There's one of those swing passes for Alabama with McClain doing some damage after the catch. And here's the touchdown that is not going to be on any Raider highlight package again after tonight. Huff just drops it in, and McSwain.
That's 2 guys playing catch in the park.
Yeah, can do whatever he wants. I'm surprised he didn't try to do something even more spectacular as the reigning MVP of this league. We'll take one more break, come back for the second half after this. Raiders trail by 9. Back for more from Richmond Coliseum when we return. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am.
Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Ready to start the second half of play from the Richmond Coliseum. Glad you're with us this evening for the home opener for the Raiders 2014 season. They trailed the Alabama Hammers, though, 20-11, and they're going to have to kick it off to start the second half.
Maybe a huge stop for the Raider defense here. Alabama with basically back-to-back possessions after that late first half touchdown, a chance to kind of stretch the game a little bit.
Yeah, it goes from a 13-11 game late in the first half with the Raiders driving. They turn it over on a fumble. Hammers get the touchdown, and now they have the ball again. If they can go up by 16 points, be in a bigger hole for the Raiders to climb out of. T.C. Stevens sidewinds it into the fourth row, and this time the fans able to make a nice catch of the kickoff.
Well, evidently they made some adjustments. That's a good sign. The fans are making adjustments.
Let's hope the Raiders can make some equally beneficial halftime adjustments.
That kick was absolutely hammered by Stevens.
He's going to make sure that McLean didn't have a prayer of returning that kick out of the end zone. Comes out to the 10-yard line for Alabama to start the third quarter. Kevin Huff at the controls. He's under center. Mika McSwain's the motion man. And Huff pump fakes. Going deep for McSwain, who's wide open. He's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Hammers.
Oh, they did it again. They may have seen something on that previous touchdown, and now they're just exploiting it.
Let's see if we can pick up any of the busted coverage. A little shoulder fake by Huff. Not sure if the defender bit on that as Little was trailing the play, and McSwain just swooned into the end zone. That's the worst feeling in the world when you see a guy that wide open for not the first time in the game.
Nico McSwain may have mastered invisibility.
Kukoc tacks on the extra point, and just like that, your prophecy comes true. It's back-to-back touchdowns for the Hammers spanning the halves, and it's 27-11 with just a minute and 10 seconds gone in the third quarter.
Well, that takes the air out of the building. It's a good thing the blimp still isn't out here because it'd be crashed right now. Evidently, the Hammers have figured something out in the Raiders secondary, and they're just getting exploited right now.
As Ray Little talks to Coach Fuller about what was happening, he shakes his head. And I think Ray Little's going to be watching that one again.
Won't be bringing popcorn.
Herb Jones a couple of catches in the first half. Benji McDowell on the Hammer sideline had that fumble recovery.
Raiders desperately need to answer now. They need a strong possession here. If nothing else, keep the building in the game.
Yeah, keep the crowd into it. They're trying to latch onto anything the Raiders can give them, whether it's a big play on defense or a positive play on offense. Or perhaps on special teams. We'll see what Scooby Bryant has up his sleeve. Just chilling out in the back of the end zone.
I like his style, man.
He's pretty laid back. Kukoc drives this one high and deep, and he gets the you-know.
So now 28-11, and Kukoc kind of makes up for knocking the scoreboard to pieces with a couple of kicks in the first half.
Just straight and true down the pike. Plenty of room to spare on the uno for Armando Kukoc.
He crushed that. That had another 10 yards.
Easily. So the Raiders have to start at the 5-yard line. It's the worst starting field position for them tonight. Stephen Colon steps up with trips to his left, and Hakeem Moore is going to come out of the end zone in motion. Pass fired down the sideline, incomplete. Looking for Herb Jones. Nathan Wade there to leap and try to knock it away. The pass just shy of where Herb ended up down the sideline.
A little crossing route going there, and it looked like it was going to buy the receiver some room, but the throw just off target.
In Cologne's first appearance last week, we saw a lot more of his incompletions going too far. He's just amped up and overthrew his receivers more often than not when he was going incomplete. That one short-hopped Herb Jones, setting up 2nd and 10. That one hits Hakeem Moore right where it needs to. He puts up his hands, brings it in, and gets the first down.
That was a good throw and a strong grab by Moore. In some traffic, he knew he was in a position where he was probably going to get whacked.
Moore is not afraid to go over the middle, though, even at 5'11", 175. Sure-handed receiver.
Nathan Wade out of Furman with the coverage and the tackle there.
Moore leads the Raiders with 10 receptions coming into tonight's action. Has 3 more so far this evening. On first down, the handoff goes to Kenny Jones, and he's going to get the push and get 3 hard-fought yards. Didn't quite get the cloud of dust, but he was there for the three.
Boy, he earned every inch of it, too. Caleb Bostic in a pretty strong wrestling match with Kenny Jones, the UT Martin product.
Jones is 6'1", 240. Came into the game averaging 11 yards per rush. Antoine Williams is the motion man on second down. Kelowna pump fake, steps up. He has room to run, gets to his left and goes head first, shy of the 25-yard line, with Travis Blanchard closing in on him.
Nice job by Blanchard to break off his coverage and keeps it contained there. Roman Pritt, the Raiders center, kind of slow to get up on that play.
Pritt still a little ginger. He's trying to walk it off.
James Carter has come over the wall, but looks like Pritt's going to try to stay in there.
Carter goes off. Pritt stays in. The play clock down to 6 seconds, though. They're just going to need a timeout.
Yeah, they never get this one off.
And that's the thing. If Pritt had just gone down and held his leg a little bit, they would have stopped it for him. They could have gotten the injury stoppage, but instead, the hesitation between whether he could stay on or come off cost Raiders a timeout. 10 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the third quarter.
Pritt's a tough guy from a tough program. He played his college ball at the now defunct St. Paul's for Willard Bailey. And tell you what, those St. Paul's teams, you better make sure your chin strap was tightened because you were going to get hit.
And in a league where on any given team you've got guys with the dreadlocks flowing and their names and numbers covered, the Raiders definitely have their quota, especially on offense. You've got the Samoan Roman Pritt in the middle with the, not the dreads, but just the flowing mane. You got Herb Jones, you got Antoine Williams with the hair coming out of the helmet.
Raiders might lead the league in hair at this point.
Got to lead the league in something.
Here's a big play.
3rd and 4 for the Raiders. Trying to come back from a 17-point deficit. Antoine Williams goes in motion. It's going to be a handoff to Jones. He's going to get the first down, keeping his legs moving and fighting into Hammer territory all the way down to the 20-yard line.
Boy, in a league where the football doesn't get run a whole bunch, that's a great job by Kenny Jones. Really good individual effort to pick up a badly needed first down. Travis Blanchard finally dragged him down.
I don't think he had it at first contact right there, but he kept his feet moving, made a nice move on Blanchard, and gained 7 yards.
Now Benji McDowell had a chance to blow that up, just couldn't finish it.
Back to the pass. Herb Jones open along the wall, making the catch, running downfield, getting to the 15-yard line before Nathan Wade squares him up and knocks him down.
Well, learned a couple of things there. One of those, Nathan Wade is a pretty strong tackler.
Jones with room to run, but Wade stopped him in his tracks.
That's a good-looking play, though. Well-designed play, and it gave the Raiders some space in the short passing game that we hadn't seen a lot of in the first half.
And that play is Herb Jones' bread and butter. Let the guys clear out the coverage, catch the ball along the wall, and make something happen after the catch. Now on 2nd and short, Cologne goes for the end zone. A flag is down as the pass went incomplete behind Hakeem Moore.
Flag in the defensive backfield.
The umpire is Mark Wilson. Tracy Lynch with the call is going to get an illegal defense against Alabama.
There's some small irony in that because Dean Kokinos was really unhappy in the first half about what he thought were uncalled illegal defenses. And he spent some time at halftime kind of lecturing the officials about the concept. And maybe he lit a couple of lamps that wound up helping the other team.
Couldn't quite see on that angle if one of the linebackers was dropping out of the box or just getting out of position. The play came down pretty quickly, and the Raiders get an automatic first down at the 6. 1st and goal. Cologne can't find anybody. He's going to go down. That was supposed to be a quick hitter. Nobody was open, and Cologne takes the sack at the 13-yard line.
Yeah, it's the arena ball version of the coverage sack as Darian Barnes wrapped him up, and that was supposed to be a quick throw.
And whoever he was supposed to throw to on the left side wasn't open. And the Hammers defense, after being called for the illegal play, gets a sack back to the previous line of scrimmage at the 13.
Hakeem Moore might actually have stumbled a little bit right there. That's what led to the sack.
2nd down and goal. Cologne has time to throw. Goes for the corner for Herb Jones, and Herb Jones makes an incredible catch over the back of Nathan Wade. Touchdown Raiders!
Wow, Herb Jones, he was wide open, but the ball was a little late underthrown, and Jones basically had to peel it off the defender. Oh, the Raiders badly needed that too. They badly needed somebody to step up and make a play.
They sure did, and Herb Jones, with Wade closing in, concentrates, taps it to himself around the body of Wade, and hauls it in.
Well, it was a tremendous catch. Wade just never really saw the ball. He got all kinds of body on it. Didn't realize it was there.
Extra point by T.C. Stevens is true. And that play gets this crowd going. We'll have to wait a second, though, because there's a flag down on the extra point. Great concentration by Herb Jones, making his first touchdown catch of the year. And it's illegal defense on the extra point, so the Raiders decline it, take the point, and get right back in this ball game. It's now 28-18. 7:46 to play, third quarter. Brings us to a timeout. Raiders trailing by 10, back for the rest of the third quarter after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
I forgot it.
Her nurse,
You need a claim number?
her personal assistant,
Let me just grab a...
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum as they let T.C. Stevens kick off before throwing to immediate timeout. So on the kickoff, it was a low kick that we've seen from T.C. before, but this one skipped to the corner of the end zone and then out of bounds, which by rule means that because it was not returned, the Hammers get the ball at the 5-yard line.
That works out as a break for the Raiders. One of those only in the indoor game moments, because that ball hit a member of the chain crew. Those guys are on the field. They're in the corner of the end zone for a kickoff. That ball skipped up, watch it smoke the guy on the chain crew. And
they had nowhere to go. He could not get out of the way. That was a heat-seeking bomb. And since the ball came down in play and then went over the wall, as McLean and James Carter get into it a little bit over the wall there, the failure to bring the ball out of the end zone means the Hammers start at the 5.
McLean started, he was trying to play the ball off the chain crew guys, so apparently those guys are in play.
Everything is fair game on the field, whether you're the chain crew, the officials, or even Risky. If he stays out there, I think he's in play. But if we can go back to that Herb Jones touchdown from a moment ago, as I mentioned, it's Herb's first touchdown catch of the season. Great concentration in the corner of the end zone right in front of the Raiders bench. Cologne sees him, lobs it to him, and Jones at 6'3" goes up, tips it to himself around the body of Wade, and does the touchdown dance.
Yeah, it was a pretty good recovery on that play by Wade because Jones popped wide open, but Cologne was maybe just a shade late getting the ball there. Gave Wade a chance to get back into the play, but he doesn't really see the ball, and just tremendous concentration there by Jones.
Up to the Raider defense now to get a stop and let this offense get back on the field, trailing by 10 points. Huff to throw, and that ball is tipped and it goes incomplete. Raiders hunting for an interception off the tip ball.
Oh, Preston Hines got it again, and that time maybe Huff was a little late in his release. That throw was low.
Hines got both hands up there to knock it down. Big play by the defense to set up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that's one of those plays where, boy, if you're just living a little cleaner, it bounces right to a blue shirt.
Right into the arms of Kevin Allen, who you saw break free, or Gus Tyson, or Devin Jones, who was there also, where the vicinity of where the ball came down. Second down and 10.
Play game.
Yeah, play clock expires. Take it back half the distance.
And Alabama's first half success offensively was, just chipping away on first down. 5 yards here, 7 yards there. You get yourself into some really manageable situations where the playbook is wide open. And now, you have the incompletion on first down, now the half the distance penalty, and that kind of limits what you can do.
But you talk about living clean. There was one holding call on the Alabama offense in the first half, but I don't remember any other penalties on the Hammers offensively.
Yeah, I think that was it.
That one takes them back to the 2.5-yard line. Second down and long for Alabama. And Huff's heels are almost back in his own end zone. And with 2 seconds on the play clock, some confusion amongst the receivers and the quarterback, and the Hammers have to call timeout to avoid a second straight delay of game.
Well, all of a sudden they're kind of struggling to get organized. Of course, they're on the corner completely away from their bench, but you still have a coach on the field.
Getting a little discombobulated down deep in their own territory.
Not a very happy coach either right now.
Well, when you're 0-2, losing to 2 expansion teams, you come to Richmond, and even though you have the lead, your offense is scuffling after a couple of pretty good showings the last times they've had the ball. Don't blame Dean Kokinos for being a little bit steamed right now.
This is a team that put up 65 points last week, so sitting at 28 middle of the third quarter. I think they probably hoped for a little more production, even though they were, I thought, really efficient in the first half. That efficiency didn't turn into completely lighting the scoreboard up.
3 touchdowns in the first half for the Hammers, a couple of missed field goals, so they held on to the ball at least long enough to get scoring chances every time they had possession. Their first drive of the second half was a one-play bomb to McSwain coming out of the second half kickoff. Now it's second and long for them. Have to operate out of the end zone. A quick drop, a quick throw, and Greer goes down to the turf for it. Got his hands underneath it to move the ball forward a little bit.
Well, that's a remarkable catch by Greer. That was a throw by Huff. Like he just kind of shot it out there to see what would happen, and somehow Greer was able to dive down and get it.
Another one that he almost bounced off the turf. Great catch, though. Concentration by Greer and a clean look from that angle. It was a catch.
And Devin Jones just missed breaking it up at the line of scrimmage.
Third and long, though, for the Hammers. They need to get to the 15-yard line. Huff is back to throw. Over the middle he goes, and it's caught by McClain. He has the first down. Cromartie brings him down along the padding.
And the key there, the offensive line, giving Huff the opportunity to stand back and allow that play to evolve with the receiver popping open.
He was open long enough to make that catch before Cromartie made the sure tackle.
Alabama hasn't had a lot of those plays where Huff needed extended time. He needed it there, and he got it.
Fresh set of downs for the Hammers. Under 6 minutes to play in the third quarter. That one batted down by Hines. We've got a penalty flag on the play.
And we have Ray Little down the far side of the field, and he's getting back up.
Mia Chaka threw that flag from the far side linesman position. Looks like it's going against Alabama because they're talking to Billy Jarvis as to what the Raiders want to do. And Jarvis has to get on the headset, talk to Coach Fuller, and get the decision in. It's an illegal formation against the Hammers. The Raiders decline it.
Take the down here and put him in 2nd and 10.
That is Preston Hines' third knockdown pass of the ball game. He's had a good game at his linebacker spot, has a half sack as well.
He's turning into the eraser.
He just got up and swatted that one down, showing some ups.
Had a little space, read it well, and
yeah.
He can get off the ground.
think that's the flip side to this offense that Alabama's running. All those swings and screens eventually catch up to you like that. On second long, Huff stumbles but rights himself, is touched but gets away and throws it away. Christian Lacey got back there, got a hand on his shoulder pad, but not a sure grip on him, and Huff able to shrug it off and throw incomplete to live to fight on 3rd and 10.
I think that did disrupt the timing, and then good coverage downfield there. We've talked about the Raiders having some breakdowns, but Torres Jones was stride for stride right there with Jeremy Greer and didn't give Huff a lot of options.
There's Lacey almost getting a hand on the collar there, and Huff airmailing it to the Cobb dasher board.
Raider front five, I guess you call it in the arena game. They're starting to get after it some.
3rd and 10. Big chance for the Raiders defense. Huff has time, and the pass is on the mark. Greer makes the catch and has the first down.
Well, that's the second big 3rd down conversion on this drive.
Yeah. And the key was Huff having time again to set his feet, make the throw. Greer went up and got it just beyond the sticks.
That time, Waukesha Eugene, Alabama A&M product, won his battle with Christian Lacey and gave Huff time and space there. Really no push from the Raider defensive line.
They got 11 on 3rd and 10, and we're at the 4-minute mark of the 3rd quarter. Hammers still leading by 10, 28-18 as we have a stoppage. The chain gang ran off the wrong side. He's trying to get downfield, get a better look at the play.
I guess they all got to stay together behind the ball. That makes sense. He was kind of freelancing there.
He was down on the yard to gain down there and thought, let's just kneel down here and try to make myself invisible.
Maybe he had a flashback, thought he was working an outdoor game.
Or a flashback to that kickoff, just wanted to be part of the action again. Pass complete to Greer again, and he's got a head of steam down to the 5.
Boy, he came wide open. Again, caught the Raiders in a disarray in their coverage. And
he found that seam. Cromartie was playing zone, and Huff read it well. Hit him in stride, and there's Cromartie trying to come in to make the play.
Pretty good tackle by Torres Jones at the end.
Torres Jones cleaning it up. 1st and goal for the Hammers. We're at the 3-minute mark, 3rd quarter of play. Hammers trying to extend their 10-point lead. McClain goes in motion, and there's movement and a flag. Couple of flags, 3 flags. This one never had a chance.
And all of a sudden, it looks like all the officials are checking to make sure they have their flags.
I think he said 93, but there's no 93 out there for Alabama.
I was going to say,
let's round it off to 92.
Yeah, that's a really false start.
Jeremiah Zine, the apparent guilty party.
They have no active 93 on tonight's roster.
First and goal from the 10. Huff on the crossing route finds McClain, dives for the corner, and did he get over? Yes, he did. Touchdown Hammers. McClain diving for the pylon. And that's his first touchdown of the night after hauling in 3 last week among his league record 17 receptions.
Well, that crossing route was beautifully executed. Again, you had a man popping wide open.
And Huff looking at him the whole way. Dives for the pylon, gets over. You can make contact with the wall like he did to right himself and not be down unless you're touched by the defense. So a good job by McClain to keep his balance and get into the end zone. And the extra point is good by Kukoc. And with 1:38 to go in the 3rd quarter, the Hammers extend their lead. It's 35-18.
That's a frustrating drive from the Richmond perspective and a really good drive from the Alabama Hammers. 2 3rd down conversions. Raiders had a chance on 2 occasions to get off the field, and Alabama made the plays they had to move the sticks and extend the possession.
They went 45 yards in 7 plays. Took over 6 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, by arena standards, that's a grinding drive.
That was. Raiders a little bit behind the 8 ball again in terms of having to rally and just suffering from an inconsistent offense, and in the second half suffering from not being able to touch the ball on offense. They've only had the ball once. They did score a touchdown, but like I mentioned, that time-consuming drive by the Hammers puts us on the brink of the fourth quarter, and it's a 17-point deficit.
You know, the Hammers have just gotten more efficient offensively as the game has worn on, and maybe they saw some things on that last possession of the half that they've been able to exploit and get people open nearly at will.
2 possessions, 2 touchdowns for the Hammers. Both ends of the spectrum, a quick strike and a long methodical drive. Now the kickoff by Kuko goes over the wall. Touchback means it comes to the 10-yard line.
You know, a lot of pressure on the Raider offense here.
Yeah, no more room for error, down by 17 points.
You know, they were sharp on their last drive. They'll need to be sharp again. At some point, they got to find some stops.
Good look at Scooby Bryant with the rest of the offense. He's the one who couldn't jump high enough to catch that kickoff over the back wall. Bryant and Antoine Williams rotating at that 3rd wide receiver spot tonight. Hakeem Moore and Herb Jones have been mainstays for the Raider offense. We've got flags before this drive can get going.
Bryant was way beyond the line of scrimmage in high motion there.
That'll cost the Raiders 5 yards.
I mean, they've been given a pretty generous cushion tonight, but that was outrageous.
Can't be that generous. It's been Stephen Colon the whole way at quarterback tonight. He played the second half of last week's game. Got the start tonight. And was 3 for 4 on the last drive, including the touchdown pass. Now from the end zone, he lobbed it to Herb Jones. Nice snag by Herb, and he goes across the 15-yard line.
Herb Jones has distinguished himself tonight. He's shown some good hands, strong concentration in crowded or potentially really crowded spaces.
Going over the middle that time. Cologne firing it at a high spot where Herb at 6'3" could go up and get it.
Thing is, when you have to extend to get a ball like that, you make yourself a really inviting target.
2nd and 3. Cologne in trouble. Gets away from it and gets back to the line of scrimmage before Benji McDowell brings him down.
Boy, Brandon Sharp just bowled his way past Roman Pritt and blew that play up and forced Cologne to have to tuck it.
Might have actually gotten a yard when all was said and done. It's 3rd down and 2. Raiders have to get to the 20-yard line, and they'll have to do it in the 4th quarter. We have reached the end of the 3rd period, and with 15 minutes to go, it's Hammers 35, Raiders 18. We'll take a timeout. Back for the 4th quarter after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am.
Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, Please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone, yes, we're talking to you. Please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum, ready for action in the fourth quarter. Tim Hurley and John Emmett with you. It's 3rd and 2 for the Raiders. Big third down here for them. It's a swing pass out to Bryant, and it gets knocked down, and they rule incomplete pass. Incomplete forward pass. Sets up 4th and 2. They're going to have to go for it.
That's beautifully read by Nathan Wade. He saw what was coming and jumped the route there. And came fairly close to picking it.
And that one close to being a backward pass, too. And with the knockdown would have been a fumble. A chance for a real disaster instead of only a minor disaster.
Well, Nathan Wade, he has some tools. He's a really strong tackler. Not a big guy, but he can hit in the open field and showed a really quick first step right there.
4th down and 2. Bryant goes in motion. Handoff goes to Kenny Jones. He gets stood up. He is not going to get there. Play is whistled dead as Blanchard was there. McDowell in on the tackle as well. The Raiders turn it over on downs.
Now they had some success running with Jones earlier, but the Caleb Bostic was right there. Had some help from Travis Blanchard, who played his college ball at Ole Miss, and that's a huge stop for the Alabama Hammers.
And the Hammer defensive front was ready for the inside handoff to Jones. He got one, he didn't get two. That's what he needed. And so a 4 and out by the Raiders, and they continue to have some offensive struggles in the early goings of the 2014 season. Hammers with the ball up 35-18. Greer comes in motion, and Huff goes the other way to McClain. Gets downfield. Little makes the stop near the 10-yard line.
Boy, they just gnaw you to death with the little bubble screens, quick outs. Terrific possession passing game, and Kevin Huff has been extremely efficient.
Huff is 6 for 8 in the second half. Has 20 completions on the ball game. Has his team set up with 2nd and 2. He's going to throw again. He's hit and he's brought down. Sacked by Devin Jones.
Yeah, the former Mississippi State Bulldog made a play when the Raiders had to have one. Came off the edge and just beat his man with speed. He got a step on Darius Turner and was able to turn that into a sack.
And that gives this defense a fighting chance on 3rd down and 6.
Alabama's been really good on 3rd downs in the second half.
Trips right with Greer in motion. Huff swings it out that way. McClain, a one-handed catch, pushed into the wall by Cromartie at the 10. That's going to be about a foot shy of the 1st down.
Well, the official gave him a pretty good spot, too. I thought he was knocked out almost a full yard further back than that. Replay will give you a little better look. That's a good catch by Charles McClain.
Yeah, good one-handed snag by him. And yeah, he may have been shy of the 10, unless he was sticking the ball out with his hand downfield to get that spot. So it's 4th down and a foot. Fans making some noise for this Raider defense. Keeper by Huff. He's going to go forward and get the 1st down as they push him again from that fullback spot with the big boy. And he got what he needed and maybe a couple inches more. Not a ton on the game for Kevin Huff, but he moves the chains.
Well, now I know where to recruit fullbacks in this league. You go to your local tavern and find the biggest, baddest bouncer and just line him up at fullback. Short yardage, you can just throw the guy forward.
Tell him just push the guy in front of you.
I got pretty spirited there at the end. I had a mild hope the ball might pop out.
1st and goal, Hammers. They lead by 17 points. Huff has it picked off, and here comes Malik Cromartie down the sideline. He goes! Touchdown, Raiders!
43 yards on the INT return, and it could not have come at a better time.
This crowd agrees with you. They're finally pumped up, making some noise in the Richmond Coliseum as Cromartie breaks on it perfectly and had no one between him and the goal line besides Huff, who had no chance to catch the speedy Malik Cromartie.
Well, if we can see that first replay again, you can really see Cromartie's eyes lock in on Kevin Huff, and that's Huff's first interception thrown of the season.
Cromartie's first pick defensively. Stevens adds the extra point. And a huge swing in this game as the Hammers had a goal to go, knocking on the door, up by 17. A pick six goes the other way, and the Raiders close to within 10 at 35-25.
Well, defense had to make a play, and they did. And now in an evening it looked like it was coming to an end from a competitive standpoint. There's a legitimate hope for the home team. You got to get another stop here, but if you do, you can really flip this game.
Here's the angle you were looking at, John. You're right. Huff walked in, and Cromartie read him all the way. Perfect break on it because from Huff's point of view, McLean was wide open, but Cromartie broke on it at just the right instant and had a really energizing pick six.
Well, Malik Cromartie electrifies the crowd, and the North Carolina Central product gives the Raiders some hope. They were staring 0-3 right in the face. They still have work to do, but there is some life.
They were trailing by 17. You can't get three stops until you get the first stop. And that was a big one as it turned into a score immediately. They closed the gap to 10 points. Defense out there, got to get another one. Get back to work. .25 to go, fourth quarter. 35-25 our score. Stevens for the kickoff. A high end-over-end kick. Goes wide. Looked good for a second. Looked good off the foot, but a young fan in the yellow shirt is going to have a souvenir.
Boy, Stevens has been hammering his kickoffs ever since that Uno. He's been taking the Alabama's return game completely away.
It's a couple of high fives and pats on the helmet as it comes off the field.
Those are good kickoffs. I missed the old AF2 nets, though. He would have been fun with the nets.
Oh, yeah. Bounce it off the net or bounce it off the iron. Do some crazy stuff.
Well, Billy Jarvis trying to energize his defense. They've already made one big play.
Fans are getting energized, dancing in their seats.
Those guys are having a good time.
Raiders defense needs another big play. Maurice Dupree in motion. Huff to throw, big hit! He gets away from Tyson and wobbles out to McSwain, who makes the catch outside the 10-yard line.
Oh, it's a great job by Huff. Gus Tyson had a sack and just couldn't finish him.
You got to wrap that up and bring him down back inside the 5-yard line right there. Another huge potential play for this defense, but a wobbly pass turns into a completion and a positive play for the Hammers offense.
Well, that would have really had the crowd in the game, too. Tyson hits him a pretty good shot, but wasn't able to finish. And, you know, Huff is not a tiny guy, 6'3", 225. They list him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's a cheeseburger or two heavier than that. He needed all that leg strength right there.
2nd and 8. Huff has time and throws shy of Dupree.
Boy, that was one of Huff's few poor throws, and he may have been indecisive right there because he also had McLean popping open over the middle. There were Hammers receivers open all over the building.
Instead, it's 3rd and long for the Hammers and a chance for the Raider defense to get off the field.
Well, Alabama's been really good on 3rd downs in the second half. Raiders need to dial it up right here.
Devin Jones, Christian Lacey, Preston Hines across the defensive line for the Raiders with Gus Tyson at Mac linebacker. They're looking to pin their ears back and get a good rush on Kevin Huff. Huff has time as a flag comes down. Pass complete to Jeremy Greer near midfield. You got to check this flag, though. First down if the play stands.
Flag came just about right at the snap. That's illegal defense.
Microphone cutting out a little bit on the ref. Can't quite hear the explanation of the penalty, but we do know that it's declined by the Hammers. They'll take the result of the play. And a first down that deflates the crowd a little bit as we're under 8.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Raiders still trailing by 10, 35-25.
Oh, that's a deflating play, too. Again, they hit a big chunk on third down, despite what was apparently an illegal stunt by the Raiders up front.
Waiting for the chains to get set on 1st and 10.
You guys got to taking their time.
He's tired, man. He's been running off the field all day. Swing out to McClain. Cromartie's there to grab him by the ankles, and Kevin Allen finishes up.
Well, it was a good job by Cromartie to fight through a block. He was probably actually fighting off a hold by Miko McSwain, who was desperately trying to sell the officials on the idea that he wasn't holding with the left arm. He kind of had him hooked right there.
And a good sell job as there's no flag on the play.
Yeah, if Cromartie hadn't played that so well, they might have got the flag. You got to go down there.
He's too good at shaking off holds. Huff feeling the pressure but gets it away and throws it away. Lacey back there, looks like Devin Jones as well. And Huff's pass goes incomplete into the 4th row.
Jones lost his bonnet. He's had a little difficulty keeping that thing buttoned on. But it was a good push by both Lacey and Jones, and it disrupted Kevin Huff's timing there.
3rd down, 7 yards to go. 7 minutes to play in this 4th quarter. 35-25 game. Hammers up by 10, and this is another huge play, especially considering the ticking clock for this Raiders defense.
Yeah, here we go again, 3rd and long.
McClain circles behind the formation. Huff has time, goes over the middle, has it complete to McClain. He makes Cromartie miss, and Torres Jones has to clean up and push him into the wall inside the 10-yard line.
Boy, the Hammers have just been cash money on 3rd down in the second half, and good job there from the offensive line. Nice pocket, plenty of time for Huff, and he was able to zip it on the crossing route to McClain.
A couple of Raiders speed rushers, including Gus Tyson, just got upended. Hammers offensive line doing what they need to do, whether it's just a chip block or a cut block, get the Raiders defenders off their feet and give Huff enough time to make the pass. 1st and goal, handoff behind the formation to McClain, has blockers in front, gains a couple, but the Raider defense strung that one out.
Yeah, they strung it out well. It was a nice job by Ray Little, but a pretty good job by Preston Hines here, who takes the opportunity to cut back away and allowed Cromartie to make first contact. I think McClain really wanted to cut that one back, and it just wasn't there.
2nd down and goal. Hammers bleeding the play. Clock is on the 5, and we get a stoppage, and Coach Coquino's calls timeout.
Yeah, he saw something that didn't quite jive with the play call, so they'll stop the clock and talk it over. Wants to make sure that they don't make the kind of mistake they made the last time they got down here.
The last time was a pick 6 by Malik Cromartie.
We give the Hammers credit. They were not fazed by what might have been a really devastating turn of events, and they've engineered a very impressive drive here that started at their own 10 and is eating almost 5 minutes off the clock. Actually, a little bit over 5 now. 5:07 on this possession.
Yeah, the offense got right up off the mat, and Huff is just continuing to zip the ball down the field.
He's made some good throws. The Raiders have been able to bring occasional pressure, but not enough consistent pressure to really disrupt his game. And he has a very, very good core of receivers. These guys know how to get open and very seldom don't catch the ball when they have a chance to.
Yeah, these veterans, especially McClain and McSwain, know their way around the 50-yard field. Second and goal, trips left with Greer, the high motion man. Huff, clean pocket, throws to the end zone. It is brought down by Kevin Allen. Along the sideline he goes, trying to cut to the middle of the field, and is brought down near the middle of the field at the 25-yard line. Another interception for this Raiders defense.
And Allen, an absolutely spectacular interception. He showed massive vertical leap, then got one hand up and
you're going to see a highlight reel pick right here as Allen, 21, goes up, brings it down with one hand, and comes on the sideline, gets away from a tackle, but eventually one of the big guys, I think that was Zine, ended up making the tackle at midfield.
Just pure athleticism right there. Great leap and a spectacular one-handed grab and a pretty solid return. And again, the Raiders, they're about to hammer a nail in the coffin and they climb out again.
See if they can convert this interception into another touchdown. Cologne from the 24, going deep, looking for Hakeem Moore, and he was overthrown. Moore stopped his route, had to jump for it, but that passed over his head.
eBay kind of manhandled him a little bit at the end. I like the aggression of the call. You make a great play, just go for it all on first down.
So don't close the book on this one yet. Raiders offense a chance to make it very interesting. Trailing by 10, 4.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you get this down to a one-score game with a touchdown here. When, he was seconds away from being blown completely out of the thing.
Two huge fourth quarter interceptions. On second down, Cologne's going to get hit and dropped. First man back was Brandon Sharp. Second man back was Benji McDowell.
Now Sharp beat his man, and it really just blew that play up. In fact, he was untouched. He didn't beat anybody.
Yeah.
He didn't have anybody to beat.
Easy to beat him when he's invisible.
They beat Harvey the Rabbit right there. And Cologne had no chance.
Makes it third down and 15. Clock ticking, 3 minutes, 40 seconds to go.
And this is obvious four-down territory here.
Cologne steps up. He's going to tuck and run and get close to the original line of scrimmage, but not quite there. It's going to be fourth and long. They put him out of bounds to the 23.
Alabama defensive backs have done a pretty good job breaking off their coverage and containing Cologne. You'll see it here again as Blanchard comes up to shove him out of bounds.
Right into the lap of a young lady in the first row.
Well, this may be the last hope for the home team right here.
Fourth down and 11, under 3 minutes to play.
I like the guy giving the official a little advice there. That does helpful.
Antoine Williams goes in motion. Cologne delivers. It is caught by Moore off his helmet. Down the sideline he goes. Touchdown Raiders.
That is absolutely insane.
Unbelievable catch by Hakeem Moore.
Cologne wound up on his wall, and he just got knocked down again, this time by Moore.
That was friendly fire.
And Moore makes it deflected off the back of his helmet, keep it reachable, and then pulled it in.
David Tyree, anybody?
Wow. Roman Pritt was injured on the play, tried to get up and then went back down. He was banged up a little earlier in the game and then stayed in.
And this time he is a lot worse for the wear on his back. He stayed on his feet last time.
And Cologne's trying to help the medical staff there.
I don't think that's proper head injury protocol from Stephen Cologne.
No, hopefully that has nothing to do with anything above the shoulders because, yeah, it's not how you want to do that, but he's making an effort anyway. Well, I give the Raiders credit on a night when they were a whisker away from being blown completely out. They have made 3 remarkable athletic plays to give themselves a chance to win.
And they were on the verge, as you mentioned, of being blown out twice in this fourth quarter. Interception saved them both times. One was returned for a touchdown, and that one, after being returned to midfield, And the Raiders scuffling for 3 downs, facing 4th and 11 with a huge play. We'll see if we can see what happened to Pritt, and he's going to be knocked down just as he goes out of the frame there. But that catch by Moore is going to make every highlight reel tonight.
Well, that's just crazy.
I think that's better than Herb Jones's play earlier.
Herb Jones had a really, really good catch off the head of an opponent, but catching one off your own head, I've never been anywhere where that's been taught, I can tell you that.
I think Herb had the inside track for play of the game, but he's got competition now.
He may have just been bumped into second place as Britt's kind of forcing himself back up.
He's trying to get up. He's over on his belly now, trying to push himself up. And he's going to get helped up by Lawrence Lewis and training staff.
Lawrence Lewis, one of the grand old men of indoor football in Richmond, plays for, I think, every franchise.
Every franchise to come through this city has featured Lawrence Lewis in uniform.
The Law was an original member of the Richmond Speed out of Virginia Tech. Played in the old AFL in Milwaukee, then came back. Now he's helping Roman Pritt to the sidelines.
Ready for the extra point from T.C. Stevens.
And this is important.
To make it a 3-point game. Cologne puts it down, and Stevens kicks it right through. Raiders close the gap, 35-32, 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. Raiders have 2 timeouts. They can kick it away and play defense here. They don't need to go onside. They don't need to do anything out of the ordinary. The defense has been playing well the last couple of possessions. One more stop and they're right back in this thing.
And you get those college timing rules in the final minute, and it really changes the game. Like the last minute of an arena game, you might see 3 possessions depending on how things play out. And now the Uno rule gets interesting here too. This would be a huge Uno to pick up. Because then you can potentially get a stop and win with a field goal. Now give the Raiders a whole lot of credit for staying in this game. As you go back to the Cromartie pick 6, if Alabama finishes that one, they're up 42-18.
Yeah, that is probably all over with the shouting, even though most of the fourth quarter had yet to be played.
Yeah,
that would have been a complete confidence suck of the Raiders on both sides of the ball, and a deficit that may have been insurmountable. But fortunately, it didn't turn out that way. Raider defense has picked off Kevin Huff the last 2 possessions, and Raiders have gotten back to within 3 points.
And both in the red zone, and instead of this building emptying like it's Anthrax night, you got the opening night crowd really having some fun, and the home team with a legit chance to win.
Well, I think the police canine units at the doors too, in case anyone tries to leave early.
That's offensive atmosphere.
Here's the kickoff. TC hunting for the Uno. Missed it wide left this time. He came close. He was trying to get it.
Boy, he gave that ball a pretty good ride. He's hit his kickoffs really well.
Here's another look at it. It just had that spin on it. It was sidewinding off his foot. He couldn't quite bring it back inside that upright. Uprights are only 10 feet apart.
Now, here's no margin for error when you're trying to put one through for 58 yards and a 10-foot upright.
From the 10-yard line, Hammers come out with under 2 minutes to play. Huff a pump fake, has time, now he retreats, back into the end zone, he throws it away. And Billy Jarvis wants a flag.
He should get one, too. There was just complete holding. Meanwhile, I don't know if we got a shot of this guy in the jersey who made that catch right along the stairs, but hey, that guy right there, that's a great play. But what's the holding here? It's not even close.
On the right side, yeah. And there's another one up the middle.
I mean, that's the really ridiculous one where Christian Lacey just gets dragged down. He doesn't tear away jersey, but yeah, that guy right there, that's good hands. You need to find out who he is.
Get him in a real uniform, not just the replica jersey.
They play him at tight end or plugger. And
Raiders have called timeout with 1 minute and 40 seconds to go, trying to save some time and get this stop, turn the ball back over to the offense.
Yeah, probably so Billy Jarvis can help the officials with their definition of holding.
They could have gotten one about the 3-yard line. That one may have been in the end zone. That was pretty close if they called the second one.
Yeah, the one where Lacey was getting held, the quarterback's in the end zone. That's 2 points if the officials chose to throw the flag there.
2 points in the ball. Make it a 1-point game with your offense out there.
I'd take those odds.
Yeah, I'd take that any day of the week. 2nd down and 10 for Alabama. Greer's the motion man. Huff throws off his back foot, picked off by Kevin Allen. Down to the 5-yard line he goes, he fumbles the ball. It's dived on along the wall. Did the Hammers get down to the bottom of the pile? They say they did.
Well, it looked like they did. But you can't see from this angle along the wall.
They've got it back.
Yep. McClain
and Mr. Everywhere, Charles McClain, comes up with the football.
And the real tragedy there is that's a change of possession. Should be first down Alabama.
Yeah, you give him a first down. That's exactly what the referee is saying. Allen picks it off, runs it down to the 5-yard line, loses it. Man, 3 straight picks for the Raiders.
From a guy who had gone almost 3 complete games without throwing an interception. And now all of a sudden he can't throw one to his own guys.
And McClain caused the fumble and then fell on it to recover it.
Wow. So there's another candidate for play of the game. And Allen was banged up.
He did the right thing, switched the ball to his left hand towards the sideline, but McClain just stuck his hand in there, reached across Allen's body and knocked it out.
And the Raiders in a tough spot, and Allen banged up, probably going to have to come out for a bit. Boy, Huff had been so efficient. I don't know where he thought he was going to throw that ball. That was triple coverage.
Yeah, he had nowhere to go with that one, but heads up play by Charles McClain as the ball bounces on the turf and then off the wall. McClain knocks it out of Allen's arm, and there's Allen twisting his ankle, looks like in the turf, as he was getting brought down, losing the football.
Yeah, he landed really awkwardly, unfortunately, and
he's limping off the field, getting help by Coach Fuller.
He may need somebody else to help, too. Because he really can't put any weight on that left leg at all right now.
He's going to get it from Maurice Thorne coming off the sideline to help him get off the field. Derek Stout out there to check on him.
So that brings Ray Little back in. You have Little, Cromartie, and Jones, the secondary.
Man, a chance for the Raiders to have a 1st and goal following the 3rd straight interception by the defense. Get set up in prime position to take the lead in the late stages of this game. Instead, 1st down for the Hammers. We're closing in on the 1-minute warning. They'll have to take this snap, though. Play clock down to 5. Huff a quick out, caught by McClain. Gets behind his blockers and goes down at the 10-yard line.
That was a good job there by Preston Hines. Some really good lateral movement to get over and get in on that tackle.
And that'll take us to the 1-minute warning. 35-32 the score. Hammers ball. Raiders need yet another stop. We'll see if they can get it when we come back. A minute to play. Back for the conclusion after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
It's so shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Did you take your medicine? Oh, gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse.
You need a claim number?
Her personal assistant.
Let me just grab a...
Her housekeeper. Her cook. Her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum. We're at the 1 minute warning. 60 seconds to play in the ball game. Hammers holding on to a 35-32 lead. They have second down and 8 from their own 10-yard line. Raiders have one timeout left. Clock also stops on incomplete passes and first downs. That's going to be a free 5, though, as Christian Lacey jumps off sides.
Well, that's a frustrating flag for the Raiders. Lacey just got a little bit of an early start. And one thing about indoor football, you don't carry a particularly deep roster, so now you have Antoine Williams in the game replacing Ray Allen after that injury. Or Kevin Allen, I'm sorry. Preston Hines has made some plays at the line of scrimmage tonight. Raiders need him to pull another one out here.
And Gus Tyson's got to put a hand down now as he and Hines rotated that defensive end spot. Looks like Tyson's actually going to be at linebacker on this play. Hines, the down lineman, along with Lacey and Devin Jones. Greer comes in motion, and Hines may have jumped there, trying to get the speed rush off the edge.
That's a first down.
So the clock hasn't even moved yet, and the Raiders go offsides twice. Give the Hammers 10 yards and a first down.
Well, they'd gone 59 minutes and about 2 seconds. Straight 59 minutes because the clock hadn't started yet. Without doing that, and all of a sudden back-to-back plays.
Just so anxious to make a play and try to get a stop here inside 1 minute. You got to be disciplined, though, because now with a fresh set of downs, Raiders just one timeout left. The Hammers in a pretty good position here with 1st and 10.
And some real breathing room.
Huff sends McClain in motion. He's going to keep it and get a yard with a push from Zine, and the Raiders are going to call their final timeout. Inside of 1 minute, if the offense has the lead, they've got to gain positive yardage to keep the clock moving. If the defense stops them for a loss or no gain, the clock stops. And so Dean Kokinos calling the quarterback keeper, trying to get Huff just to move the ball forward, get that yard. And on that play, they forced the Raiders to burn their last timeout. So now we continue with the final minute chess game, but this time it's a game of keep away as Dean Kokinos will try to keep the ball with his offense for the next 55 seconds and get the Hammers' first win of 2014.
So in theory, the Hammers likely to stay really conservative offensively here, but gives the Raiders a chance to take a risk or two and try to make a play at the line of scrimmage that will stop the clock.
And Billy Jarvis in the middle of that defensive front.
Risky trying to summon some sort of magic here.
Risky's got a good view of the line of scrimmage. He can help us find out if they get positive yardage. Huff's under center. He's going to run it again and get stacked up and twist and be close to the line of scrimmage. And the Raiders say he did not get forward. And the clock stops.
Yep.
Huff stopped for no gain.
Tremendous job there. Gus Tyson selling out. Another great play by Preston Hines. Huff tried to fall forward right at the end, but was unable.
Get a good look at it here. A good push by the Raiders. He gets pushed backwards immediately, spins around and falls forward, but not back to the line of scrimmage because he was pushed back instantly off the snap.
Yeah, it was that first push by Hines that meant that Huff falling forward was all for naught as far as keeping the clock running.
Dean Kokinos huddles his team and calls timeout. That's the Hammers' final timeout. Clock already stopped at 51 seconds to go. Lady Raiders don't quit, and neither does this Raiders defense.
No, the Raiders certainly haven't quit tonight, and they had opportunity to pack it in early in the fourth quarter. Instead, they started to make plays and created some real drama late.
Fans waving the touchdown towels. Need to help this defense get one more stop. It's going to be third down for the Hammers. So even if they get positive yardage and don't get a first down, they'll have to snap it on fourth down. Raiders have at least one more chance. But here we go on 3rd and 9. McClain goes in motion. And movement.
Oh, McClain was an acre across the line of scrimmage, but there was contact in the interior.
Devin Jones jumped. We'll get the call from Tracy Lynch. And they call the Hammers for that false start. They get them for going downfield before the snap.
Yeah, the timing there was just a mess from the Hammer perspective, and now it creates 3rd and almost 15. Roman Tritt, by the way, has his helmet on and acts like he's going to play some more if the Raiders get back on the field offensively.
51 seconds to go, 3rd down and 14 for Alabama. Hammers up by 3. McClain again goes in motion. Huff to throw. Here comes pressure, and Huff goes down. The ball comes out. It's picked up by the Raiders, but they say he was down. Huff sacked at the 11-yard line.
Devin Jones yanked him down, and I think he was clearly down before the ball came out, but huge play by Devin Jones.
Let's check it out again, see if the ball came out. It looks like he was down. The knee might have been down. His torso was still up. I think the knee came down before the ball came out.
Well, he almost
Jones
lost it
wrapping
right
up.
there.
Yeah, right there. I think the knee goes down before the ball comes out.
Well, Kevin Huff, if you need somebody to open a peanut butter jar, he might be your guy because he needed some strength to hang on to that thing. Jones almost pried it out well before he went down.
54-yard field goal attempt for Armando Cuco. Ray Little back for a return. High snap. The kick is going to be a short one. It's going to bounce. Raiders have to corral it. Torres Jones makes the play. He comes out from the 10-yard line behind the block from Cromartie to the 15, sideline 20, to the 25 and the 20, stumbling to the 15, to the 10. He is in! Touchdown! Raiders! An electrifying play on the field goal return by Torres Jones.
Well, Jones' biggest obstacle there was the chains.
Yeah.
He got to the corner, he was gone. He almost tripped in the chains. Sometimes you can outsmart yourself. I don't know about taking it short there.
And then they were going for the coverage, trying to pin him back there. McClain got down, had a chance to tackle him, but the blocking got set up, and there goes Torres Jones down the sideline, off the wall, off the chains, and into the end zone.
Oh,
and there's Coach Fuller to get right up there with him.
And this has been off the chain, too.
Oh, yeah.
Now the extra point's a train wreck.
Cologne, after the bad snap, is going to get drilled. The ball comes out. Hammers can return this. It's lateral back. The ball is still on the field. And here comes the Hammers. They're finally pushed out of bounds. That was Brandon Sharp on the return. And you're right, a disaster of an extra point. I thought I heard the buzzer, too, for a delay of game.
Yeah, there's no flag. I mean, clearly the buzzer sounded. The question is whether or not that snap came early. And Roman Pritt was back out there for the snap, and now he's kind of limping around again. That was an absolute circus. This game has just been a zoo in the fourth quarter.
One play after another with the interceptions, the fumbles. That missed field goal return. There's T.C. Stevens trying to make the play. So no penalty on the delay of game or anything on the extra point. The bad snap. But the Raiders are in the lead, 38-35. You hate to have that extra point go begging, though, to make it a 4-point game and force the Hammers to score a touchdown in the final 29 seconds.
Yeah, you have taken away the possibility of...
Here's another look at that field goal return. Torres Jones catches off a couple of bounces. Cuts across the field. Stumbles a little bit. Gets a nice block from Devin Jones at the end there.
Yeah, he was virtually untouched. What a great first cut. He fields that ball with his back
Yeah. He was going away from the end zone at first. You're right.
And there's no way you could see McLean coming, and yet he instinctively cut exactly the right way and took McLean's chance of making that tackle away. And then the extra point, that's just a junior right
Extra
there.
point was dodgy, but T.C. Stevens has a chance for an Uno. He's come close the last couple of times, missed one right, missed one left. Time to split the difference.
And again, picking up a point on the kickoff here would be enormous, and you would force Alabama to have to put it in the end zone to win.
T.C. marks off his steps. This one looks pretty good, and it's just wide. That one was closest of all.
Boy, he has just nailed his kickoffs tonight.
I thought that one had a really good chance off of his foot.
Well, when it was halfway there, I thought it was in. Well, an Alabama Hammer team that was a whisker away from having a 42-18 lead in the fourth quarter is now desperately trying to find a way to pull this one out.
Look how close that one came to the upright.
Yeah, that was closer than I thought. They didn't miss that much at all.
Just wide. So a 3-point lead for the Raiders at 38-35. Fans on their feet making some noise. 29 seconds to go. 1st and 10 Hammers. Huff to throw over the middle to McLean. He's short of the first down. Clock is going to continue to move. Hammers are out of timeouts.
Another good tackle by Malik Cromartie, who's done a good job in the open field tonight.
Hammers hurrying to the line. 15 seconds to go. Huff has some confusion with Greer. Now he goes in motion. Huff to pass. The sideline he goes. It's incomplete with a flag down late.
Yeah, complete holding, or maybe even a personal foul for a trip. I'm not so sure Gus Tyson wasn't leg whipped right there.
They're saying illegal use of the hands instead of illegal use of the feet. But that's going to move the Hammers back.
Now, Gus Tyson was fouled, that's all I can tell you.
One way or another, he drew the flag.
And now all of a sudden the clock's down to 7 seconds.
This could be the last play of the game.
Boy, this would just be an epic win for the Raiders.
An epic comeback for the Raiders, down by 17 points in the fourth quarter. 7 seconds to play. From their own 8-yard line, Hammers trailing by 3. Greer goes in high motion. Huff, a quick throw to the sideline. McSwain goes over the wall, and under the 1-minute timing rules, going out of bounds like that does stop the clock. A little bit better field position to the 16-yard line with 3 seconds to go.
Smart play by McSwain. He knew he didn't have a chance to break it to the house and just got the clock stopped to give his team one more chance.
3 seconds left. Hammers need a Hail Mary. From the 16-yard line, Coach Fuller on the field directing the defense, taking the reins from Billy Jarvis.
Either that or you pull out the Billy Bob play here and you laterally back to maybe Darius Turner.
Yeah, or a hook and lateral or something. They've been known to run that play as well. Huff to throw, standing in the pocket, goes over the middle. It is caught, and McSwain runs into McLean. McLean laterals it back. The ball's on the field. There's a loose ball, scooped up, and then run down by the Hammers. Still on the field. It's popped up again, and it's a bouncing ball picked up by Torres Jones. He's going to go on the sideline and hold the ball out over the wall and be brought down near the 10-yard line. And this crazy game ends on a crazy play with the Raiders winning it 38-35.
Wow, you're not going to see a better finish. Any football game, indoors, outdoors, any place. That was just nuts.
What a play. There were at least 4 or 5 laterals or bounce backs or batted balls on that play. Hammers doing everything they can to keep it alive. Take one more look at the madness.
Illegal, by the way.
Well, running into him right there, McLean and McSwain
that's a fumble.
Almost run into each other.
That's
and there's a big hit right there. The ball's going forward this whole time for Alabama, which is the crazy part. It's going down the field the way they want it to. And finally, Jones scoops it up. He wants another touchdown. He's trying to go down the sideline.
And he turned it into a souvenir. Well, that's a fan-friendly play at the end.
to get the game ball from the last play. How about that? He gets to take that home. Good look at Roman Pritt walking around. Glad to see he's on 2 feet.
Well, he played some more. I mean, he looked just done and wound up getting back in for some reps at the end of the game. Just a remarkable finish. Great job in the fourth quarter by the Raiders, who stepped up and made individual play after individual play. And then when the Hammers tried to reenact the Holy Roller, they all turned into Dave Casper in the waning seconds there. The Raiders kept their poise and managed to get the ball back and pull out just a huge, huge win. And these were two teams who both desperately needed a W.
The Raiders are the one that got it, though. They scored the final 20 points of the game to make it a 38-35 win for their first victory of the 2014 season, getting it done in all aspects, offense, defense, and special teams down the stretch. We'll take a break here and come back for the post-game show to recap a wild finish in the home opener. Raiders take it 38-35. Back for more from the Richmond Coliseum after this. You're tuned in to Richmond Raiders football.
Yes, I am.
Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Attention! At this time, we'd like to ask all passengers seated in Zone All of Richmond to get on board with keeping fares low and adding more competitive flights. All those who want to save money and keep competitive rates in Richmond, please add low-cost airlines to your travel plans. Thank you to those who have. Zone Yes, We're Talking to You, please get on board at this time. Save Low Fares Richmond, a campaign of the Greater Richmond Chamber. SaveLowFares.com.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to a wild scene at the Richmond Coliseum. Fans are invited on the field after the game, as they are after every game. But this is a joyous crowd, a joyous post-game celebration. As we take a look at some of the crazy highlights from this game, John, it starts with a quarterback sneak and a push as the Hammers controlled things in the fourth quarter. Hakeem Moore, over-the-shoulder touchdown catch. As we look at first half action, T.C. Stevens nailing an Uno. The Raiders needed every point they got tonight, including that one-pointer by T.C. Kevin Huff made a couple of nice plays into the end zone. That one to a covered receiver, and we'll see one later to a wide-open receiver a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of really wide-open receivers.
And here's one of them into the corner of the end zone. McSwain on a lazy Saturday evening, making the easiest catch he'll make of his career. Here's another one. Had to catch on the run and then go into the end zone, so a little bit of work required there. And by the time the Uno was tacked on, the Hammers were in control of this game, up 35-18 at one point. Here's the play of the game. Herb Jones, or check that, it's the play of the game to that point. Herb Jones making the catch over the defender's back. Diving into the end zone, McClain for another Hammer touchdown. And here's Stephen Colon going to the end zone, finding Hakeem Moore off his helmet and taking it the rest of the way.
Looks like he's playing electric football. The thing just stuck to him.
And here's the short coverage kick by the Hammers that really got the Raiders back into this game. Torres Jones fields it off a couple of bounces, gets into the open field, gets some good blocking, goes off the wall, goes off the first down stick, and takes it into the end zone.
Did a nice job of fighting off the chains there. That was really his biggest obstacle.
And that gave the Raiders a 38-35 lead in the final 30 seconds, following a great defensive stand when they needed it the most in the final minute, as the Hammers were trying to run out the clock, up 35-32.
Well, I'm sure the Hammers are just shaking their heads right now. For the better part of 57 minutes or so, they were so efficient. They did so many good things, hit a ton of third downs, did a great job, and all of a sudden they just came unraveled at the end. But from the Raider perspective, the tremendous plays, the pick six by Cromartie was just huge. The field goal return huge, and then they fought off the holy roller at the end.
Crazy play to end a crazy game. Raiders go to 1-2 on the year. Thanks for tuning in. For John Emmett, this is Tim Hurley saying Raiders 38, Hammers 35.
Her nurse, her personal assistant, her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Get your ass out. You're not sitting here. Yes, I am. Move. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.